Midnight's Edge After Dark. That's right. Welcome to the program. My name is Tom Connors. With me tonight is my co-pilot, the man, the myth, the Mexican Iron Man.
Hashtag not a Mexican YouTuber. Hashtag.
Actually, you should be able to get a role in the new Transformer movie.
How's that?
Because they're all going to be like Mexican and black. Didn't you see that? Or Latino, anyway.
Oh, wait. Is this like... Why is this in Transformers and not Men in Black sequel?
I am Latino Prime. I come from the barrio.
Indeed.
Yo.
Like, that'd be a great spin-off.
Transformers Man in Black, yeah.
In the Transformers movie, do my indigenous people, do we actually get to be brown this movie, or we're still blue? How's that
Yeah,
work?
I think that the lead actor is Hispanic, actually. And I think the director is.
Yeah, but I mean, are my Transformer peoples like, do we turn into a brown Chevy Impala, or are we going to be like...
I don't know. They're probably blue people from the water again, for all I know.
Yeah, let me guess. We're going to turn into blue speedboats.
No, your guys are going to
sure.
be... You're going to be all tow trucks, Mexican tow trucks that just steal wheels off of the Transformers.
Oh my God, wouldn't it be funny if they made some kind
You
of...
are all wrong. We are all taco trucks.
I got a better idea. You ready for this theme? Where it's a new Latinx bullshit theme movie, and so it's like one guy turns into a lawnmower. The next guy turns into a leaf blower. The next guy turns into like a drywall mixer.
Oh shit! You're gonna get us canceled.
So which one turns into like the babysitter / nanny?
Which one turns into a Home Depot?
That'll be Lupita. Tortilla warmer. Wow. We can do this all night. We can do this for 2 hours.
Oh Lord! Well, we ain't got 2 hours, but we do have as a '70s rock fan. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, sir. It's good to be here. Good evening to you all. Hello, chat as well.
Fucking Canadians are spreading.
Fucking
Look at this
Canadians.
shit. First it's the Canadians, now we got the Nordic guys spreading. We're getting outnumbered, Mike.
This invasion from behind the maple curtain is coming.
The maple
Worse than
curtain.
The maple
It's
curtain.
delicious.
I got another one.
Delicious.
Dishwasher.
It's a beauty, eh? Hoser.
Dog walker.
We don't walk our dogs. We just let them roam. The only guy who walks his
You
dogs.
liar! That's all you ever do is walk Bambino. That's all. I gotta take care of Bambino.
If
that's
Mike was a transformer,
I have no idea.
if Mike was a transformer, would he be an Alfa Romeo?
Speaking of Canadians, we have the Canadians, Crit Doctor, with us. How are you doing?
Oh, keep them warm. Happy to be here. Looking at these show topics, I'm like, what's the problem here now?
Oh Lord, nothing is going on. It's been a really slow couple of days. There's nothing going on online. Nobody's freaking out on Twitter.
Okay, I want to state for the record, I'm not even a real YouTuber, and I've gotten over 20, 30 messages, DMs, all kinds of stuff about this James Gunn thingy. About
My shit blew up.
I'm not even a real YouTuber, and I literally just in the last 8 hours got 20, 30 messages. Mike, what do you think? Mike,
I got news for you, Mike. That means you're a YouTuber.
What?
Yeah. I didn't even get that many DMs.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Mikey just learned. And also joining us, the one, the only. He's got the Christmas spirit, but he's orange thick rock. Clobbering times. How are you doing?
Hey there, man. Good to see you. Thank you for having me here, Tom, and good to see you, my good buddies on the panel, and wonderful people in the chat. Hail to you all. Nice to be here.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank
glad
you.
to have you here. I like that picture you got there too. You know, speaking of Christmas, the whole mistletoe thing.
Yes.
I watched Robin Hood not Men in Tights, Prince of Thieves, the actual Kevin Costner one, for the first time since, God, when it came out, like what? I was probably 12, 13.
Yeah, early 90s. I've never seen it.
94 or
I
something.
actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
I just can't stand Costner. I can't.
It was fun.
I saw
he's
people
horrible
doing the
in it.
accent, and he's terrible.
He's horrible in it. But the
people do
story
like it,
overall,
yeah.
the action sequences, I thought it was pretty good.
I'm an Errol Flynn guy myself, but go ahead.
No, I hear you. I totally hear you.
Alan Rickman's awesome, isn't it?
That's what really got me was the
That's
supporting
very,
cast between Rickman, Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater's really good in it. But yeah, no, fucking Costner couldn't carry it. That was completely miscast.
But you enjoyed it though, so.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, I enjoyed it better than I remember because I remember not liking it much as a kid. But as an adult now, I had some cheesy fun with it. But I just brought up the whole mistletoe thing because I swore I was like, unless I misheard the scene, they're like talking about how basically they used to slip mistletoe to women so they could fuck them back then. Like it was some kind of aphrodisiac or would knock them out or something.
Tom, I told you that on the down low.
Mistletoe
I was
is very
gonna say, Mikey
poisonous.
was telling me about this. I thought it was bullshit till I saw the movie. I'm kidding, of course, Mike.
That was on the down low.
So I don't know if that's true, and I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Sounds true. It feels true. Sounds true.
Well, it just kind of reminded me of the whole like mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it, but it can be a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it. Kind of.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
For
Batman
I'm like,
Returns,
Batman
right?
Returns.
Yeah.
I do know that mistletoe is poisonous. So like
That's what I was gonna say. I thought it was poisonous. Yeah.
You're not
well, that's
supposed to
basically what it
kiss
is.
the mistletoe.
They poison the women with mistletoe. And like, I've got the cure right here for you, lady, and then that's how they do it, I guess.
Oh, I know that's problematic, Mecha J, and that's the thing is every new review of this movie mentions how problematic this movie is because there's like 2 or 3 specific bits where they're like, that's a bit rapey. It's like, well, one of those scenes is the bad guy, so like,
Yes, it's okay for bad guys to say controversial
or
and
two
bad
of those
things.
2 of those scenes are like the
Yeah,
bad guys. So,
that makes sense.
and the other one was just Robin's whole thing. He's like, yeah, we used to slip these to the ladies, or he's like, how do you say it? I can't remember how he said it. He either said, I kissed or laid many a ladies by slipping them this in my younger days or something like that. And then that's when Morgan Freeman responds to, well, in my country, we don't have to drug our women to get up to love us or something like that. And they're like, holy shit. Like,
It's a medieval version of roofies, I guess.
yeah.
Hoodies.
Anyhow, that just made me, the Christmassy thing all made me kind of think of that shit. But let's take a look at what the chat's talking about. The wheels on the bus. Bulldoze. J.J. Abrams' career sends in 35 South African rands. Says, assuming the slate is a go, when do you think we get a slate announced? Also, did they cancel Man of Steel 2? Okay. The latter part, no.
It doesn't
No.
exist technically.
It doesn't technically exist yet, but as I'll get into later here, more so, we know that's a priority for Zaslav. He has said
doubt
it
he'll
on
use that
a couple
title, though.
occasions. I've said
Oh, they're
before,
not
I've
gonna
heard,
use that title at all.
I've heard it was going to probably be called Superman.
Right. Fair enough.
Most likely it'll be Superman. I don't even think they can technically use Man of Tomorrow because that title was registered many years ago to an independent script that is out there, and I don't think the rights for that title has lapsed.
And that's one of the
I think
lesser
DC
known
did
Superman
use that
names.
for one of
too.
their animated movies, Man of Tomorrow.
They did,
didn't they?
yeah, a while back.
They had to do it Superman Man of Tomorrow, I think it was.
Yeah, Superman, Man of
so.
Tomorrow, sure. So that's what I'm saying.
Just
So
the
they can
same.
do
That's
that.
not one of the monikers that Superman's very well known by.
I think Zaslav has the good sense to put Superman in the damn title.
Duh. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's what he meant by saying we haven't had a Superman in X amount of years. Not just the fact that we hadn't had a regular, Man of Steel. I think he was just talking in general, and he was referring more
Right.
to the actually Superman Returns is what I think he was referring to. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
As far as the slate, yes, I think we're going to start hearing some stuff. I think they're going to do some big presentation, or at least a few things will get out because, as Valiant was saying earlier on Mr. H's, and he's probably said in other places, and I agree with him, Zaslav wants a pitch by this Christmas. This is something I've been saying. He wants to know what the plan is, and he'll want that so he can ready himself for January when they have the quarterly meetings.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because that's where, he got a bunch of questions about it last time. So this time he can actually go in and say, this is what we're going to do. So we may not even hear a lot about what's going to happen until that. But again, they may have some formal announcements just before that too. So that's why I'm assuming they'll either do some big presentation or we'll just start to see a bunch of shit drop through various places, but it'll actually be Warner or sanctioned stuff. James Gunn has kind of been playing stuff on Twitter quite a bit, so who knows? Maybe he'll drop a few nuggets on Twitter. He's kind of been... We'll get into all that stuff, but yeah.
He did recently admit how much of a big Green Arrow fan he is, so that might be one of the secret projects he's pitching.
That's what I mean. He's
Wait,
been kind of
Green
dropping
Arrow?
nuggets already.
Green Arrow,
so-
yeah.
Ooh, I love me some Green Arrow action.
He might adapt the Longbow Hunters.
Green
Well, let's
Arrow,
get-
Green Lantern was my favorite team up comic
Oh
book.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Love 'em.
get through these and then we'll actually get on the main topic here. Many Dragons has been here for 2 months, it looks like, at the maximum effort puppy level. Thank you. It says, which
Hey.
DC characters would you want to get solo movies? Mainly Superman. Like, I'm a Superman guy.
Ooh,
But
ooh,
the-
pick me, somebody, pick me.
Say,
Ooh, ooh.
Mikey, sounds like you want some Green Lantern.
I want some Green Lantern action done properly.
Yes.
70s?
I'm not a. Yeah,
Flash.
the Flash. That's still a thing. Are we talking Green Lantern or Green Arrow here? Because
said
You can
DC.
pick Green Arrow.
Pick any
because I
DC
think
character.
Green Arrow could be reinterpreted. I mean, it is Oliver Queen, so it could be Oliver the Queen. That would be very inclusive.
Oh, I don't know if we want to do that.
Green Trans Arrow.
I would love a good Green Arrow, Green Lantern. I think the Green Lantern deserves the Green Lantern deserves a great on-screen portrayal for once. That would be awesome.
It'd be nice also to get a real Green Arrow, a live action portrayal too. Like
Yeah.
the show is not Green Arrow. It was,
No, it's
don't
not.
Yeah,
think.
speaking of
I want to
Robin
see a
Hood.
Ted Cord. I want to see more of a Ted Cord Blue Beetle, either
Yeah.
with or without Booster Gold. Either way, I'm fine. I'd be happy. I
Beetle
just
and
like,
Booster would be fun though. Yeah.
yeah, him and Booster would be fun. But I really do like. I like the Blue Beetle before he becomes this integrated AI team superhero. Even though I do like Jaime Reyes' version, I want to see the proto.
Ted.
So
Good old
that's
Ted.
your answer?
He's technically the second Blue Beetle, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your answer?
Mhm.
Clobby?
If I got the pick, again, I want it to be someone that hasn't really had much of a chance. But let's go with one that had a very bad one. And of course, that's everyone mentioned Green Lantern. That would be at the top of my list. A proper Green Lantern film done correctly, touching on the origin, but not dwelling on it too much, and just Green Lantern, not a bunch of other characters popping in there. Just the Green Lantern core. I'd like to see something like that because I love him. And that movie. Whew.
There you go. Lord Baratheon says, how would you guys react if news came out that
Baratheon.
Baratheon? Sorry.
Hal Jordan, by
Thank
the
you.
way.
Henry Cavill's in talks with Marvel. Wasn't there already buzz that he was looking at possibly playing a role in some upcoming Marvel movie anyway?
Yeah.
As some
Probably.
agent or some shit like that? Yeah.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't pop up in some smaller Marvel role, but at this point, I really don't think that that's going to be something on the table because he's going to be busy doing Superman and Highlander. So we'll talk about that. Cardinal Sin says, hail to the panel, the chat, and the mods, Mead. Thank you so much, Cardinal Sin. We appreciate that. Then Shanatsky says, I want my Snowflame film. Cocaine superpowers for the win.
Oh, Snowflame
Yeah.
versus Peacemaker would work.
Congo. That'd be hilarious. All right, kids, let's get into this news because this has been a whirlwind of news.
Okay.
My God, this started. Was it Variety or Hollywood Reporter who put the first
Hollywood
version of it out?
Reporter.
Okay. So we actually have a little bit of a newer version of this too. We'll get to that next. I want to find the original version first that started this whole fucking
The
firestorm.
last time I got this
There it
much
is.
like deluge of like questioning was when the Chapek thing happened. What, 2 or 3 Sundays ago? Before that, it was I don't even know when.
Well, and that's why I put out that tweet yesterday. It was a badly worded tweet because I did it really quick on my phone and I can't type on my phone because I got fat fucking fingers. But I'm like, quit panicking, or in the words of Guardians, Jesus Christ, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, don't panic, right? All we really know so far, and this is still a rumor, guys. This isn't confirmed at all. Is that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward. The operative word being Patty Jenkins.
Exactly.
Yeah, and no one should be surprised by this. I mean, her Rogue Squadron movie was
Right.
moving forward.
Well, not only that, Wonder Woman 84 is a prime reason. Prime reason.
I mean,
Now,
it's the source of both of those failures, technically.
yeah. And within 48 hours before this story came out, both her and The Rock had put out posts talking about their future as these characters.
Patty Jenkins.
No. Gal Gadot. Did I say Patty Jenkins? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Gal Gadot and the Rock both put out tweets and Instagram posts within 48 hours before this, actually more like 24 hours of this news story coming out, basically saying they can't wait for their future in the DC universe. Now, I have a hard time believing Warner would give them the pass to say something like that and let them look like they're fucking idiots for doing that.
I can believe Warner doing that because you're talking about actor politics. You're talking
I get what you're saying, Script.
Actors who may realize that they might not have a job in this role, so they want to make sure they can keep their name in the social circle, in the trades and whatnot, so that the fans will have a positive reaction and sway whatever plans are in motion to include them that otherwise might not have been the case.
I agree with you on this on the basis if we had just had The Rock's post. You know what I'm saying? Because his post comes off like he's trying to save his franchise.
Yeah.
And when you add in what, and here's why I say this, when you add in what Gal Gadot post, and that signifies to me, because that came out before this story, just before, tells me she just got out of a meeting where she was told Patty Jenkins isn't going forward. If you'd like to leave with her, there's the door. If not, we'd like to have you stay on. Because that's the thing, is getting rid of Gal Gadot is not a good move on Warner Brothers' part.
Why?
Because I know you don't like her script.
I don't know. I only know the only people I know that like her are on this internet here. That's it.
She's what?
If she doesn't open a movie, if it's not Wonder
the
Woman,
first Wonder Woman made almost $1 billion.
Yes, because it was Wonder Woman. But the thing is, like, all the other movies she's done outside of Wonder Woman have not opened well. Not even performed decent.
All right. Well, my point is this: I have heard nothing to lead me to believe that she's going anywhere, that Jason Momoa is going anywhere, but that they would have allowed Henry Cavill to do what he did and put out that post. Ben Affleck is the only one that's kind of up in the air right now, and I'll get into that.
There's possibly another aspect to it, though, Tom, in that she was purportedly going to be very highly paid for a third one, and maybe they just don't want to pay her that money if it's big money.
That could be, but it's also Patty Jenkins who is going to get a big payday too. So it makes more sense to keep her and get rid of Patty.
Well, I mean, the other part too is that Patty has already failed on the creative side of things with the character.
That's what I'm saying.
The whole industry is well aware that the treatment and script that she put in for Rogue Squadron was so god awful that Disney pulled the plug on it immediately. And now she's also recently put in that Wonder Woman 3 treatment that she wrote with Jeff Johns, who also is not a good TV writer or film writer.
Well, that's another thing you need to take in consideration is he's been downgraded at that place too. So
good,
him being part of that,
he's a big reason why it's bad.
No, I agree with you.
I would say from the perspective of Zaslav, because again, he does not care. He has no attachments to things when it comes to entertainment, making money. If he sees that he can deliver a great product and doesn't need someone like Gal Gadot or Henry Cavill or whatever, he will go that way. But the thing is, he'll also lean into, well, let's see if this works first before we do it. Like I am pretty confident that Gal Gadot is going to have one more Wonder Woman movie, and then that's probably going to be her denouement. And she'll have her trilogy.
That's what I'm saying at this point, and that's where getting me to my main point, because that's basically okay. So basically, that's the headline. But between this article and the Variety article, they're sitting there editorializing, and they're positing that all these people are leaving. Henry Cavill's not coming on board. So then, why the fuck would they do all this major announcement shit with him? Because that's somebody who we know they've been wanting back, and we know the previous regime didn't want him. And we know for a fact that Zaslav has flat out said in public that Superman is a priority to him. Now, he hasn't necessarily talked about Henry Cavill. That may be true. I'd have to pull the actual quotes. But the point being, we know that's something they want to do. That's even something that James Gunn has hinted at that is on the table. So we know that there's definitely a Superman movie on the horizon. Why the fuck would they like honey dick Henry Cavill like that just to make him look like a complete asshole again, to basically make it to where he'll never make a movie with Warner Brothers again if they did this to him. Never.
Well, that's assuming that Warner. So you have to also understand the fact that Danny Garcia is very good at manipulating things to get what she wants. That's why she's considered like, you know, the shark of agents right now. There's nothing in what Henry Cavill said with regards to Superman and everything that could be construed overall with the confirmed direction of Warner Brothers at the time. It's you can actually see that more in context of he's back because he's in Black Adam, and that's it. And that's probably fine. But again, what was it? Less than 2 days after Cavill's dropped that thing, we get the word that James Gunn and Peter Safran are now in charge of the DC universe. So they could have changed their mind.
That's plausible, but at the same time, I feel like...
And it's not unheard of when a new regime comes in that they throw everything else out.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just playing the advocate.
No, I get you.
What are they trying to do here?
Okay, and here's the actual
I think it's a great idea. Not entirely, no.
And here, just so we have context here, because he does say a little bit more than that, in my opinion. Says, a very small taste of what's to come, my friends. A dawn of hope renewed. Thank you for your patience. It will be rewarded. And then he has this bit here where he talks.
I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this, because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. But now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman. And the image you see on this post and what you saw in Black Adam are just a very small taste of things to come.
See?
So there's a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
I'll get to that in time.
I have
that not also confirmed with the regards to his cameos that are appearing in The Flash and Aquaman and Blue Beetle.
He could be referring to that. You're not wrong, script, but at the same time, going off of what I had heard, and which was kind of supported from other reports, is that he didn't come back in until September, despite what other quote-unquote scoopers were trying to tell your asses. I kept telling you, Henry Cavill ain't come back yet. Wasn't until September when it all happened. And at that point, something changed and shifted. And like you said, script, 2 days after that announcement, the weekend after Black Adam come out, we get the announcement that James Gunn and Peter Safran are taking the job. Now, as we know in Hollywood, they don't announce that shit the day it happens. No. This is something that happened that week before. So that's where my point is. They would have already technically been in charge when Henry Cavill made that announcement. That's my only point going with that.
But you're under the assumption that Warner Brothers okayed that when it's possibly more likely that Danny Garcia okayed that.
I'm not saying you're not wrong, but there's a... They brought him in, and they did that.
Rock has turned Warner Brothers, has not responded well to even some of the stuff The Rock has put out on Instagram recently.
Okay, hold on. I think, hold on. I don't think we can. This is my viewpoint. I don't think, and I could be wrong because I usually am, but we're talking about everything in one huge like one painting on the wall, and I think we need to segregate these issues out. Will Henry Cavill be a major part of the DC universe going forward? Yes or no? Will Gal Gadot be part of it? Yes or no? We know. Will Patty Jenkins? Yes or no? Like, these are all different components and pieces, and it's all conjecture until when's the announcement? 10 days from now?
No, probably won't. Well, we'll probably start.
There is no set day. We just know, like, basically is what's kind of confirmed in this article I just had up here from THR was that before Christmas, Zaslav is supposed to get a... From now. Yeah, roughly he is supposed to get the pitch. And as Andre has pointed out, he then gets to also A-okay or to say nay to certain things. So this is also going to need his input. And again, going off of what I had heard before, like I said, Henry Cavill was waiting to hear a pitch. He was on board so far from what he had heard. That was enough goodwill to get him to come back for Black Adam. So that part seems to be true. We don't necessarily have him technically signed on as far as we know. We haven't had an official announcement from Warner Brothers. We just have, which script pointed out, could have very well been Danny Garcia pushing it. But at the same time, he went to the Warner Studios. They put on that outfit. They did a glamour shot for that outfit at Warner. So that, and he had talked about in an interview, was actually looking for it, and can't quite find it offhand, but here it is right here. Actually, I think. Henry Cavill reveals how they shot the super secret cameo. Fought for years to bring him back. And yes, Danny Garcia was a part of it. Yes, myself, no, never option. Because he talks about how when he came in and shot it. Okay, we shot it in the secret in the UK, and everyone was amazingly quiet about it. We were at a studio, so it was all locked down. No one gets in. He continued with the fact that it took years for this to happen, and it was ready to go. It finally happened over many years of conversation, to the point where they said, right, okay, we are greenlit for this. So I slipped into the suit and came to work. So I sounded like they were all kind of in tandem with this. And that's the thing we had heard before, was that it was the previous regime that was resistant to him, not anybody else. And that basically they were fans of him as Superman. They just weren't fans of the films. Sounded like in Zaslav's part. But James Gunn did speak out. And in his tweets, he did point out that they will build upon what has worked and rectify what has not. So that, going back to my whole point from what I've been saying this whole time for the last few months, before James went into exile, and I said nobody knows shit but James, was that the initial plan is to do a reset, not a complete reboot, but a reset. And that means some of these actors will return, some of these actors won't return. Yeah, some of them will return in different parts, possibly. I remember saying that as well. And now we're starting to hear rumors about Momoa returning in Lobo. So, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Cavill remaining or returning as Superman would fit both of those sentences that he, or in quotes, it would build upon what has worked, which was the casting of Cavill in the first place, but it would rectify the way his character has been treated, the way Superman has been treated. They would be, casting away they would be looking a gift horse in the mouth not to retain Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't think the same would apply to Godot, but...
Yeah. And I think you might have been the one to say it, Brian, that the only reason I haven't been picked on by James Gunn yet is I have to be wrong. Because even the Hollywood Reporter now has been called out by James Gunn.
Yeah.
Well, and he flat out said, even though they don't have the tweet here, of course they wouldn't want to, because his first initial tweet said some of that's true, half of it isn't, and a lot of it is bullshit, basically.
And some of it we're still trying to decide if it's true.
And the rest of it we're trying to decide, which I've been saying. They still, some stuff is still up in the air. Now, I'm not going to say too much on this because Andre wants me to keep it as much to the chest as I can. I haven't heard shit as far as like what's going on with DC overall. Like I've said, there hasn't been much going on there. Paulie fed me some more stuff earlier from an inside source on the Penguin that coincides more with some of the stuff I'm hearing. I don't know if you heard this or not, Script. They're in rewriting right now. They've got
they're not shooting till late February.
Yep, not till late February now. Yep, and that goes along with what I was saying. Zaslav himself, I guess, appointed a new head writer because he was not happy. So that may even indicate that Matt Reeves is a little farther away from this than he was before, too.
Well, and not only that supports the fact that they pushed back a sequel to the Batman that hasn't even had a treatment submitted yet, which means which you don't do. Remember, if something is successful, they fast track it. Think of it this way: under the old regime of DC Films, we got a Wonder Woman sequel within 3 years of the first one, and we're still waiting for a sequel to Man of Steel. That tells you something with regards to the studio. We're getting a second Aquaman coming out in a few months. And the first one
it comes out next year.
Well, but it's
a year from now, exactly.
Is it a year from now? It's December.
Yeah, okay. They pushed it to December.
It's way back, yeah.
But regardless, we're already getting sequels to lesser pivotal characters than Superman in a very shorter amount of time. That's how the studio system works. So they see money and they see profit there, they push it. The reason you haven't gotten an Man of Steel 2 is because it didn't perform well in the first place, and even after Batman v Superman and Justice League, you still didn't get another one because those movies did not do well. Wonder Woman and Aquaman were big surprises. 84 was a huge disappointment, and we're getting the ripple effect is occurring primarily to Patty Jenkins' career.
Right.
So that has to be something to note. If the Batman was indeed as good as some people protest it to be, there would never, you would have get the announcement, you'd have gotten the little lock date with regards to its release, and you would never ever see anything that trades that, it's been pushed back.
Exactly. I've been saying that for how long, Script? and I agree with everything you said about the Batman. But there's one thing right now that is keeping Pattinson into some play. And now this is a rumor. Well, not just that, but this is a rumor I've been hearing about Ben Affleck. And this is outside of the other shit. Okay, so this is why
J-Lo having issues again.
Yes.
Wait, what the hell does that have to do with
Goddamn, and not only that, I found a video that supports some of the shit I just heard about all this stuff.
Sorry,
so this is nothing to do with so this would have nothing to do with James Gunn, and that's why this is something that's kind of believable. And I don't think this has any reason to do with why Ben Affleck's cameo wasn't in the Aquaman screening, even if there was an Aquaman screening, which kind of set this whole Spitfire off to begin with. I think they just didn't put that scene in there because you're not going to put that scene in there because it was probably an end credit scene anyway. Notice nobody mentioned Michael Keaton's in The Bastard.
J-Lo is Jennifer Lawrence, isn't it?
Lopez.
No, J-Lo.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so going back to what I was just saying, now the shortest version script is right. He kind of jumped a little head there. He's having some personal issues at home and with a business partner. I'm not going to say who right now because that's all going to be revealed in our video. And those things are getting in the way of his life right now. I have a strong feeling Affleck might be a fucking freight train headed for a crash again. From what it sounds
You mean like when he was with what's her name?
Yeah, because
Like he fell off the wagon.
Yeah, let's just say the good friend
he didn't fall
and
off the
partner.
wagon because of Jennifer Gardner. He fell off the wagon because of doing Batman and Batman v Superman and Justice League. That's when the drinking started again.
Yeah. He should just get back together with Matt Damon and be done with it.
Well, let me just tell you this: having dated plenty of Puerto Ricans, that throw me off the wagon.
It's funny you mentioned that, Brian, because that's the other party.
It's the partnership that always worked the best.
No, that's the other partner in this equation when I said the business partner.
That's right.
Okay,
yeah.
Matt's pissed right now.
But is he really
Because
just a business partner?
Matt already was upset before, and this is all fucking rumor, guys, so don't take this running. This is all grain of salt stuff. Is that Matt is pissed because they just started this production company, and he goes and gets married to Jennifer fucking Lopez, the woman who destroyed their career before. Notice I just said their career. Because that shit affected him almost as much as it affected Ben. Believe it or not. So he is not too happy with that fucking situation. And here they are 2 months into their fucking marriage and they're already on the rocks.
Jesus.
According to reports now.
Hey, listen, all I can say is listen.
I don't mean to laugh. It's just
Man, I got your back, bro. I've been there with the Puerto Rican girls, bro. Just stay tough or walk away, bro. I'm going to get him on that Batman movie.
Now, supposedly, and this was in the video I found that kind of supports the rumor I heard. Supposedly, him and Ben got in a fight recently, and there was video of Damon leaving his house, Affleck's house, all pissy.
He was crying. Was he crying?
No, he wasn't
TMZ
crying, but he looked kind of
Was it on
pissy.
TMZ?
Well, they probably stole it from TMZ, but it was just a different report that kind of supported a lot of the shit I've been saying or heard that I just said in the last few minutes here.
Bros before, Stick with Matt.
technically it's bros before Lopez.
Bros before Lopez.
Bros before Lowe's?
So if there's an issue with the Matt Reeves universe, does that mean that the Penguin is on thin ice?
Could be. I mean, here's the thing. And remember, if you go back and remember Matt Reeves got a 5-picture deal out of Warner?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And none of those reports did it ever say that 5-picture deal had anything to do with the Batman.
correct.
And I posited then, I'm like, what if this 5-picture deal is a fucking makeup gift because he's not going to get any more Batman?
Could be.
Because Andre made a good point earlier, because regardless of whatever The Rock is trying to say, he could be right. Because if you look at it from the standpoint of, because Mr. H said, well, if you go by Rock's logic on him saying that that Black Adam will make money with between $50 and a $70 million profit, then the Batman was hugely successful. I said, well, yeah, yes and no. The Rock is talking about certain elements. The fact of the matter is that, toys, how they sold differently, maybe that could also be a factor. But let's look at it from an expectation point of view. The Batman was expected to make $1 billion.
Yes, it was.
Black Adam, on the other hand, was only expected to do a little bit better than any of the Rock films had done before, and a little bit better maybe than Shazam. They didn't have any higher expectations than that for it. That's the difference. So I have a feeling that the budget we heard for Black Adam was probably an inflated budget. And what I mean by that is we have a great video with Gary Tunnicliffe on the main channel where he talks about being involved in the making of Exorcist 4. For those who don't know, there's two completely different versions of Exorcist 4. They shot the movie twice. The only thing that's the same is the main actor and the rough storyline. And the director, Rennie Harlan, and the studio told the press that the movie cost somewhere around 2 to 3 times as much as the actual budget was. So I gotta say, this is probably a pretty common practice in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also have to take into account there might be a producer involved who has put on the books of a higher budget and has taken the difference for themselves.
Yep.
That's what I mean too. And
So
there's
the
other
money
factors
has
too.
been
There's a lot of
spent.
times where they like to hide how much has been spent too.
Well, no, that is actually worse for them to try and hide how much is spent because then they can't write that off or move that money around.
That
Yep.
part's true, yeah.
If anything, whenever you would look at the prospective budgets of a film, if there's any conflict with the size, always go for the largest one because if they can get away with the largest one, they will, and that's just because they're taking money. So, for instance, you can take a look at Black Adam, which has a development history of 16 years. Well, guess what? Warner Brothers has been footing the bill for that for 16 years, so that's
Yeah.
probably factored into the budget, but at least not on the public release.
Kind of like a Superman thing, right? Yeah.
Like Superman Returns, like the Flash. Like the Flash right now is probably got
True.
over $500 million spent in it since its inception.
See, and that's
7
kind of
years
what
to
I'd
make a
heard.
movie.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to go.
Is that they
Tax
just don't want to
write-off in
spend any
history.
more fucking money on it. That's what I had been hearing. Is that
Yes.
they're just going to go forward with Ezra. And I even checked because Paulie was at Comic-Con. I asked him because I'd even heard rumors that they did a big splash poster and all this business, but Ezra was nowhere to be seen on any of it.
Yeah,
He's
caught-
like, yeah, you didn't see him anywhere.
They're
on
caught
this
between the rock and a hard place, really, with the Flash. So much money, so much money invested. They've got to do something with it. They can't just.
They just
not
gotta
like
hope it-
Batgirl.
Well,
Look,
even with
It's not
the
like
ancillary
Batwoman. They can't just
sales-
write it off. Yeah.
even with the ancillary sales of Black Adam, they'll be lucky if they do make an actual profit, or at least one that they can report and give out residuals for.
Mm.
That's the other part too. Is like, do you think The Rock's going to get residuals on his stuff? Probably, because he's probably got a gross deal. But there's most likely enough of other people involved that have got net contracts, and they're not going to see a dime from this. And that's going to be the case. They spent too much time on this movie. They did a couple of reshoots, but they also recut this film a number of times. That has a price tag to it, especially with how close they were to getting it done for release. So the closer you are to getting it done before release, the more expensive things get. So if they did shoot, say, Henry Cavill's cameo in September to get it out for a late October release, the filming of that stuff probably had some premiums with everybody that was working on crew. And then the post-production itself was able to charge through the nose because it's like, well, if you want this on time, you want this well, you're going to have to start paying for it. And they will negotiate the best deal for themselves. And knowing that Warner Brothers needs this, they will pay it.
But
And
you're
they'll
also
probably hide it
talking
somewhere
about
else.
you're talking about a literal 30-second shot script that was shot on a
Exactly.
smoky sound stage. Like, so
No.
like they spent the minimum. Yeah.
No, it's mostly, I'm not like, no, the location itself would be nothing, be pennies. It's just the labor itself that would be what's being exploited. on
Right,
the
but that's like
paycheck.
a few guys probably. That's what it sounded like from that thing you were just reading
Oh,
from Cavill.
oh,
It was
probably-
all
You know, a lot of
cloak and
times with
dagger.
studio-
Like maybe 10 people, and then it's the post-production teams. Like, oh, we got to cut this in there. We got to get it all going. They will come up with whatever they
Got
want in
color
order to get
time
the
it.
most dollar, biggest price tag that they can invoice Warner Brothers for.
No, I get
So-
you. But I mean, I know they did plan for it as a possible, like they had a place filler until it was there. So like in that respect, I get what you're saying though. Yeah.
I just want to know if there's any truth in the rumors, Mike, about you being seen jumping out of J-Lo's window before bringing
Yeah.
it home.
First of all, her name was what she was.
Is
Puerto
that the
Rican.
married woman you were sleeping with all this
is
time that you got?
Could be the one.
No.
Oh. This makes so much sense now.
No,
no, it
Everything
makes
is coming
sense.
together.
Ben, it wasn't me.
You know, you're gonna have to do, Mikey. You're gonna have to do that. Was it Shaggy? Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Do that.
Wasn't me.
Then he caught me on the counter.
Wasn't me.
Caught me on the sofa.
Wasn't me.
Caught me jumping out the window.
Definitely wasn't me.
It was more of a falling out of the window than jumping, to be honest.
Okay, you know what? 70s, you stop that right now.
The Waltman 4 sends in $1.99 and alerts us that the Twitter Files Part 2 has started dropping. I thought they already did Part 2.
No,
Must
they
be
did.
Part 3?
They did kind of like a recap of Part 1, and now
okay.
Part 2 is being tweeted by Barry Weiss.
Oh, so is this why people were complaining that there was nothing in Part 2, and they're like, oh, so that really wasn't Part 2? Gotcha.
Wasn't really Part 2, yeah.
Gotcha. Member chat from Daryl Brewer, who's been here for 16 months at the maximum effort puppy level. Thank you so much, buddy. Says, I would think they can do the Legion of Superheroes for a very diverse lineup. The Legion of Substitute Heroes for the...
Oh, God.
Lord.
Not my Legion. Not my Legion.
Haitian Felidoro is here, and he says, Filarudo, I did it again, I'm so sorry. Says, I want a question movie. Conspiracy theories filled with noir where stuff actually is real.
That could be good.
Question's a great
Done
character.
well,
for-
great character.
You guys have talked
For
about him a few
conspiracy
times.
noir.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Pinochet's Helicopter Tour says, speaking of Exorcist, New Beginning and Stigmata. Okay, now I asked you a question in the chat. Let's see if you answered me back, Pinochet. I wasn't sure if you were comparing these two or if Stigmata was also a movie that got shot more, like almost reshot completely. I was not clear on that. Okay, the similarities of how both films could exist. Well, that just happens in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even on purpose.
Again, there's not really such a thing as original ideas. It's really just who can get to the finish line first.
Yeah.
And there's always lots of overlap. Sometimes people from different parts of the world can have the exact same film idea, premise, and even similar lines just through happenstance and have a conflict when they try to get into production. It just happens. It's just the way things are.
It's like, I mean, I'm sure there's 3 other guys out there who have come up with Nunchuckosaurus.
At least, yeah.
Now, one of those people might beat me to the punch in doing something with it in some way, and you would think maybe I'd have some like grounds to sue them, but not really. Even if I've talked about it a ton on here, I'd have to prove they heard me talking about it.
Yep.
Like, it's almost impossible to do.
Right.
Unless there's some kind of paper trail or something where they say, yeah, I was watching this podcast and this fucked up fat kid was talking about Nunchuckosaurus. Sounds like a really funny idea.
Think of it in the way of the Harlan Ellison controversy when it came to Terminator. The only reason Ellison won that is number one, he took his complaints directly to James Cameron and James Cameron's production company. He didn't sue the studio. And number two, James Cameron admitted in articles that he came up with the idea after watching some Outer Limits and Twilight Zone episodes.
Yep. There you go.
And that's another thing too. You cannot, if you think that your idea has been stolen, you can't sue the studio because the studio doesn't steal. They buy things. It's the person that stole the idea and sold it to them that you have to go after. And if you, in the claim, name the studio as a participant, they will sue you back because that's defamation. But if you name them as a co-victim, they will then have their legal team work with your legal team to get things rectified. This also, I think, happened with Frequency.
But now, what about the situation with Coming to America? Because I think Paramount was involved with that.
That's harder to do because, again, Paramount.
I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the specifics, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that didn't have something to do with somebody who actually worked with Eddie, though, on the script originally, and then they were like pushed out or something like that, and then didn't get credit, and it all had to do with something like that or something.
That wouldn't happen with Paramount. That would happen with the production studio that's facilitating.
Well, I remember Eddie and Landis were the main people named, but I think Paramount was still involved, though. That was why I was.
Paramount was involved. Actually, Paramount was probably involved as either an unwitting participant or an unwitting victim of the crime itself. Because again, it's like Paramount can't steal anything. They need a paper trail for ownership. So, and ideas and scripts and whatnot, you can write them out, but if you're not the one selling it and someone else has taken it and sold it to them and they took the money, that's them stealing from you.
Right.
That's not the studio stealing from you. Like, that's the weird, complicated matter. And that's why studio systems work the way they do, because they want the paper trail to be like, no, we purchased this idea. We purchased the script. Everything is legal. it's the person that sold it to us. We didn't know he stole it or she stole it.
Right.
It was their thing, and so you got to go after them. But if you come after us, we were going to sue the hell out of you because you don't know what the hell you're doing, and that's just the stuff that's going on.
No, and I know 70s has got to leave here, buddy. So
yeah, no worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom, for having me again. And I got to dash to another show, but everybody have a great
I don't
night.
mind putting up with you once.
You don't want to tell a joke about me one more time on your way out the door?
All right, man.
I do it out of love and respect, Mike.
We love you, Brian. Take care of yourself.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Take it easy, buddy.
All right. We're caught up on super chats, right? Yeah, we are.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And member chats.
And member chats. Wow.
Go.
Wow. We're efficient tonight. You know, there's over 500 people watching. It would be awesome if you guys would hit that like button because I'm sure that less than half of you have already.
Okay. If we don't get 500 likes, anyone, I am sending out a Tom Connor Sexy Time Marathon calendar, whether you want one or not. Yep, that's the face. Imagine that face with a mankini.
I don't want to imagine my face with a mankini.
Well, that's why people got to hit that like button.
Morgan King says, Mike, why didn't you use a rabbit chicken's portal to get out of the bedroom instead of jumping out the window? That's a good question.
Well, that is because rabbit chickens don't smell so good, and when you're trying to get your sexy on, you don't bring a rabbit chicken into the bedroom.
Now you just gave us proof that you were there.
Well, it's a counter Musk, right? It's a
yeah. Let's
see. The correct answer was I wasn't there. That's why I didn't use a rabbit chicken.
Oh,
see,
I was not.
Up.
I was not there, and that's why I didn't use the portal. Blink twice. Blink,
too late
blink.
now. You're already. You're fucked. You're caught. If I was a woman, you'd be so dead. You're not a good liar, are you?
No, I'm awful. I am absolutely.
I have the same problem. I'm sorry.
I just,
especially when it comes to women.
I just always found, like, in general, since like from all of my life, like I was taught at a young age, don't lie in general, and then you get old. It's just, look, my head is so full of shit. I got to remember. I couldn't even imagine if I had to remember.
You know what though? You just told us again that you were there because I just told you that you don't know how to lie, and you admitted that you lied.
What?
So you're busted again. Just so you know.
Look, I didn't go out her window. I left. I drove out of the driveway when I left.
Oh, okay, sure.
Her,
the story keeps changing, Mike.
I dropped her off at her house. That's how I got suspicious. Oh my God.
Yeah, so you didn't need to use any windows at all because it would have been your house if it was the windows, right?
Right. That's exactly. That's why. So when she was at my house, it was at. Wait a minute. Hey, you guys changed this. Okay, let's talk about James Gunn.
Correct the mundo.
Oh my God, James Gunn. What else? Hollywood
I
Reporter.
want to talk about James Gunn.
Deadline. Gal Gadot. Henry Cavill.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I do. Okay, so was there anything else that anybody? Because Clobby, you haven't really got a chance to chime in on the James Gunn stuff.
You've all said it all. What is there to say, man?
No, but it's from a comic book fan standpoint. Like, I mean, you got to be pretty at least optimistic to a point, I'd imagine, because you haven't been happy with anything up to this point, really, from DC. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Look, in the right direction. I've never had anything against Cavill. I just hate everything that Snyder's done and stands for and stuff. But I thought he would be a good casting as far as the Wonder Woman thing goes. Yeah, that's probably a good thing that they're getting rid of Patty because, man, that last Wonder Woman film was horrible. So. Other than that, I don't know any of the inside stuff the script knows there, but I think it looks like some positive steps are being taken. How about that? I'd say that.
From a fan standpoint, you think so?
Yes, I think there's some things to look forward to now. That it does look like that. What's his name, Zaslav, seems to want the company to go in the right direction and does actually care about. And for what you're telling, I didn't read about it. You told me someone's telling me he's a Green Arrow fan. I mean, does that mean he actually has some regard for these characters? You said something about an actual Superman movie. I did not know this.
Yes. So James Gunn has said that for many Halloweens he dressed up as Green Arrow. He loves the character.
You mean Gunn?
James Gunn. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
can see that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So that's
well,
again,
he's clearly always been like a comic book
comics
nerd.
Guy, yes.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of his early output stuff, you can clearly tell he was heavily influenced by it.
Yeah, I've heard him talk many times. He definitely knows comics. So, and and it looks like he might be a DC guy as well, because the Suicide Squad, which was just sort of okay, contains lots of extremely obscure references, and he used obscure characters, and that tells me. And again, he didn't use them in a superficial way, the way a lot of the Marvel crappy garbage now in Phase 4 and MCU does, where you can tell they just went and talked to some geeks about some characters and just cherry picked stuff and used names. He actually used them in a way you could tell it was being done by someone who knows some of the more obscure material. So, I mean, using Arm Fall Out Boy, even though he changed his name, Nathan Fillion,
to the detachable kid,
insane. I could. I mean, that makes me laugh every time I think about it, because that's so obscure. I mean, Fortress Lad could not be far behind. So, he
did say no to Condiment King, though.
He did, but
did you see that tweet?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Somebody said something about Condiment King, and he said no.
There was another villain in the early 2000s introduced, but I don't know if they actually drew him, but he was called the Iron, and he was just this guy that had an iron press. That
he might use him. He might use him. I mean, he's got all kinds of great obscure references in Peacemaker. He mentions Matter Eater Lad, for one. He mentions a lot of people. He said Matter Eater Lad ate a whole Wendy's. Like the actual.
Because he can eat anything that's matter.
He can eat anything, of course. Yeah. His name is Tenzel Kim from the planet Bismol, and I'm not making it up.
No, you're absolutely right.
So yeah, in other words,
that sounds like something right up James Gunn alley. Yeah.
Even characters like the Creeper is up James Gunn's alley, because that's
the Creeper.
That's more the known side of things for some people, but.
I'd love to see the Creeper. He might even bring back Brother Power the Geek for all we know. But Hawk and Dove, people like that, well, they do use them on Titans, I guess. But he might bring back the obscure stuff. But he actually, like for example, the idiots on She-Hulk used some very obscure characters and just made mockeries of them, but they weren't funny. Whereas he takes Polka Dot Man of all people and makes him interesting.
Because he probably knows the character.
Yeah, but the thing about these secondary level characters, well, there's two aspects to it. One is that they've got to be done in a way that makes money, but they're not marquee. And I think if Black Adam has taught us anything, we need to see the marquee characters of the DC universe.
Oh, yeah. I'm just talking about, I'm using that as an example, though, Mike, of the fact that he can tell that he is inside. He's inside. Right. He's not some outsider. He actually cares about
He knows all the inside baseball.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, Mike. No question about it.
Well, and that's where I was saying he wrote Polka Dot Man and made him interesting, probably arguably the most interesting character in that movie.
Yeah, even Rat Chaser, Catcher.
Yeah, and it's because he obviously understood the characters. Yeah, but I'm curious, Clobby, have you seen Peacemaker? I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, I did.
What was your feeling on that?
Even though after every episode I felt like I needed to take about 5 showers, it was funny. And again, this is a character that was never particularly fleshed out, even in the old Pat Boyette days of the 60s, when he was a Charlton character. And later he was just kind of used as a psycho by DC sporadically until the 2000s. So I never had any particular regard for him one way or the other. So I thought it was very funny. The show was just worked as a fun comedy. It was really, really disturbing, but fun. I thought it was all right. I mean, I thought it was a good show. I liked it.
I like Mikey. Because it mocks what everything the Snyderverse stood for.
That's what I liked about it. I mean, it was disturbing now. It's messed
Mikey,
up.
I gotta ask you, as the resident Snyder fan on the group here, I'm sorry, we're one step closer to the death of the Snyderverse.
Yes, my recovery.
How do you feel? What is your what's
well?
Your
Hi, my name is Mike. That's where you all go.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
I am a Snyderverse recovery. Welcome to the meeting of Snyderverse Holics Anonymous. My life became unmanageable as a Snyder fan, and I am in recovery. And today's announcement that the Snyderverse is closer to dying is part of my recovery. Good riddance. Goodbye.
Oh,
There's two aspects to me. One is that I got to tell you, I have been like seething because I'm like, could we announce that the Flash is getting canceled? I mean, I hate Ezra Miller. I can't stand the Flash as a fucking character. And yet this is what we're moving forward with.
That's a good question, Mike, because somebody brought that up on.
I'm like, how is it that
somebody else?
How is that we've got an uncertainty about Henry Cavill? We have uncertainty about Ben Affleck. We have uncertainty about Gal Gadot, but we have certainty that fucking Flash is moving forward. Jesus.
Well, here's the thing, and this is I was listening to another podcast earlier, and this question came up. And the individuals on the podcast didn't necessarily have the right answer as far as I was concerned. And I think the right answer is because they fucking have to. They have no
Why?
fucking choice because they're contractually obligated. That's why.
They've already forgoed so much money that they're
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
And not only that,
I'll
there's
shop-
certain people that probably have back end deals,
Yeah.
and there's other deals signed on with,
Right.
toy companies and chip companies and McDonald's and whoever else. And sorry, go ahead, Clappy.
I'd say I'll shock Mike here. I do love the Flash, and I don't think he needs a damn movie. Look, they had a TV show for 4 years, which I didn't like it much. But the point is, he's saturated again. None of these characters. Why did he need a movie? He had an ongoing TV show at the time. That horrible, probably one of the worst castings of a superhero ever. And Ezra Miller. I mean, if he were playing Bart Allen, I could see it. He's nothing like Barry Allen. And again, why the Flash? Why not somebody some fresh legs, like we were sort of talking about earlier about which character would you use that hasn't gotten much of a shot? You know how much I love Batman. You know how much I love even Superman. I want to see other characters get more of a shot at it. And it'd be one thing if there had been no Flash TV show and you get a Flash movie, it'd be like, okay. But he had that TV show going on. Give somebody else a shot at it. Nobody wants to see a Flash movie. Even people who love the character will tell you, put him in the Justice League or something. But does he really need his own movie? I don't know.
I mean, you know,
As
how I
someone who's
feel about-
actually, you're not a Flash fan.
No, I mean, you want to see someone run fast? Shit, go watch Fox News or CNN. Go look at the Southern Border films on any given day. They're running fast.
I
every
think
day.
you can make a great Flash film, and I know Script's
Oh, you
probably a
could,
bigger
yeah.
Flash fan
I
than
love
I
Flash.
am.
Oh yeah.
But I agree with you, Clobby, that Ezra Miller was the worst fucking casting choice in the world. They'd have been better off with Elliot Page.
Well, let's not.
They
go
can
Less
at
there.
least act.
controversial.
I'd take it.
Less controversial, and they can act real well.
They can, yes.
That's the best
No,
part
I'm
is you
with
can
you.
pretend they're a little kid still.
Are they or he or she? Or I'm so bad at.
It's probably more
confusing.
appropriate.
Whatever.
But yes, it's just he's a Flash is again. I love the Flash. I'm a big fan. He would never be my first priority to get his own movie. Maybe a little bit more so, like I say, if he wasn't already had a long going TV show, give somebody else a shot. Poor old Green Lantern only gets that one terrible movie in 2010, then you throw him in the gutter. Come on, bring him back and do it right. A proper Hal Jordan movie, as I said earlier. Mike and I, would love to see a Green Lantern, Green Arrow movie, like the two of them. Because that was one of the great comics, that we're both big fans of. Something like maybe with the two of them in it.
That'd be an amazing TV show.
Yeah,
And I agree with Bast here because Ezra doesn't even deserve to be the Joker. He deserves to be the trickster, which is the dime store Joker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the other part too. I was pondering about this earlier because Zaslav made a good point on his earnings call that there's still a market for theatrical released stuff. And I was wondering, well, you have certain characters within the DC franchise that using them for feature films is kind of a disservice because you're not able to fully monetize all the aspects of what the character has, such as the Rogues Gallery for something like Batman. But if you were to probably do some investment into the old serial model and do, say, 45 or hour-long Batman serials that had theatrical release and then the following year were released on streaming, you might be able to make more money. And if you were to pair that with like a companion feature film from Warner Brothers and have a discounted ticket for seeing both of them with an intermission, you might end up having a really lucrative market where you could actually take advantage of the limited time frame you have for a cast, such as someone like Henry Cavill. Like say you had a Henry Cavill Superman serial series in theaters, hour-long episodes. You know that you only have a good 10 years of Henry Cavill before he kind of ages out. You can get a lot of stories out of him and a lot of butts and seats every month or two with a serial format that people can go to the theaters, pay a couple bucks for a shorter ticket, and you get a theatrical experience of Superman on the big screen. But then a year later, you can see it on HBO Max or any of the other streaming services that they wish to license it out to. And you're still able to recoup a lot of that money on the theatrical side of things. There might be something there because I'm just spitballing at this point. I don't know how confirmed it could be, but it seems like if Zaslav thinks that there's theatrical stuff and you don't want to have either 2 or 3 years between movies and realize you're only going to get 3 actual adventures of this cast that might be like a perfect cast, it's better to have more content that's of good quality and of good cast than less. because you're only dipping into it for whatever whatever theatrical release you get. So that's what I was pondering.
Yeah.
Because Lobo, you could do a theatrical film and probably do gangbusters, but you don't have a whole lot of stories you can use for Lobo because he doesn't have a whole lot of,
Then again, Lobo could also be a series too. That'll
Well,
differentiate
it's
it from
series as well.
Aquaman.
But that's why I mean, play it as a series on streaming, but give it a theatrical. February 2026, go see the Batman serial hour-long episode. Then March, you have part 2, and you just keep, with something released, in the old school days.
Could do something like that.
Yeah.
But
and then
we'll have to wait
you
and
can even have theaters can even have the marathon things where when the conclusion of the series, you have like a 6-hour daily event where you could watch all 6 episodes in the theater with, intermissions between each episode and make it an event thing.
a bat button-amathon. Mega Wing Zero says, I think they should make Zatanna movie and cast Anna Taylor-Joy. I think she has the look for her, and no matter how bad the movie is, she always does good. Well, Zatanna was a movie that was on the docket for, I believe, J.J. Abrams, but it got canned.
Yep. Part of the Dark Universe. Anna Taylor-Joy is a good actress. She does have eyes that remind me of an animal. They're very far apart. But I don't blame her for that. She's was really good in the Chess Netflix series. So
I'm upset. You know why?
Why?
We don't have more likes.
Oh
Me
boy.
too.
That calendar's gonna come, isn't it?
You see, you know what, kids? If you don't give us a like, I'm gonna do something really bad. I'm gonna take this Roomba away from this dog.
No, Tom, no.
So he's just gonna be lying on the carpet.
Yes, he'll be lying on the carpet.
Oh, kind of like Bambino does for 12 hours a day.
Yep, I will take that Roomba away from that dog if you do not hit that like button right now. Gunstar1 says, don't forget about Ambush Bug. Now, I had to look Ambush Bug up.
Ambush
He looks familiar.
I don't even
He
remember.
sounds like a very.
Who's that?
I was gonna say he sounds like a James Gunn character from what I was reading.
That would
Yes.
be, how come James Gunn has not already used Ambush Bug is surprising to me. But because I know he knows who he is.
I don't remember that one at all.
Well, have you ever heard of the fourth wall breaking that She-Hulk did in John Byrne
Yeah.
comic that people talk about a lot? That comes from Ambush Bug in the earlier 80s.
It says here.
Keith Giffen and Robert Lawrence Fleming created a character called Ambush Bug, who's basically. I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
I was gonna say, here's the description. Ambush Bug is a superhero appearing in an American blah 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 blah. But he has a mental he is supposedly Erwin Schwab, but he has mental problems that prevent him from truly understanding reality around him. So even his true identity might be no more than a delusion on his part.
Yes. Yeah. And it was there were several miniseries and one shots over the years throughout the 80s. And he walks around, hanging around with this character called Johnny DC, who's basically speaking for the DC universe and has all these crazy. It's a satirical comic, and he goes through all the DC characters and aggravates them, and breaks the fourth wall and all that stuff. It was a fun character. I know James Gunn will use it at some point. He's gotta.
Indeed. And we don't have enough likes yet. I don't want to take that Roomba away from that dog, but I will.
You don't have to super chat. You don't have to member chat. But you guys, listen. As
likes are free.
As someone who runs a lot of YouTube channels behind the scenes, the likes really help this stream and this show get suggested out to non-subscribers. Likes is the only way that we have the ability to share the stream out and use the algorithm to tell people about this who are not already subscribed. Please hit the like button.
Mikey. But yeah, so with that, we're caught up. We got all the super chats now, so we're caught up there. Was there any other news that was really going on? Because this DC stuff really kind of.
Well, I mean, I think it's laughable to call it in flux. I think it's like, what is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Well, that's what Warner Brothers has been doing for the past decade. And now we're getting these two new voices, Peter Safran and James Gunn, coming in. And, they're going to do something different. They might reconcile aspects of the previous casts into this new part. They might do, like, I suspect they're going to do what's I would call a story bridge, meaning that after the old regime of those DC films is done next year, they do one more that's more like a denouement. And then the next thing we realize it's a whole new DCU starting from whatever story they they wish to do, and they're apparently linking them up to crossover with television, animation, theater, theatrical release, and video games. So it's all going to be integrated, but I really hope it's executed in a way that it's treated like every comic is somebody's first, so that you can jump in whenever and then explore at your own pace, as opposed to not feeling like you're suffering from FOMO, you know?
Script, do you think it's likely that if these two guys are sitting here doing this, what would they be doing? Would they be putting together a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 7-year plan? What would they be doing exactly?
They would be doing most likely the first part of it would be the short term. What are we going to do immediately out of the gate to set the tone? And then they would probably have a couple of options for the direction of where this franchise would be heading. And each one will have a lot of overlapping, most likely will have a lot of overlapping story ideas, where it's like, oh, we're going to go in the Kingdom Come direction. Oh, or we're going to go in the Crisis of Infinite Earths direction. Or we're going to go into some type of apocalypse thing. And they might have various stories that can be interchanged across any of those. It's just all about what the direction is. The smartest thing to do is really to think in a microcosmic term, which is that, okay, these are going to be the first 3 films we're going to worry about of each individual franchise. And we have ideas about how we want to take it, but those ideas will only be refined and executed based on audience reception. That is the smartest way you can do this. If you try to write 10 movies and put them all in production to go to the theaters, and the first one bombs, guess what? You've just spent a whole bunch of money on pre-production for those other 9 movies that you're going to have to reshoot. And that's exactly what Warner Brothers has been in for the last 3 years. So they'd have to do the exact opposite of that.
And would they be presenting at this time more of a storyboard plan, or would they actually have budgets added in at this phase?
I don't think there'd be budgets. I think they would have kind of an arch plot storyline. So it'd be a giant whiteboard. They'd have their starting point on the left, and then it'd go into an arch all the way up to the top and down, and they would have a little bit of like how the Marvel does their phase presentations, but that's just a straight line across. This one would go up and down and have peaks and valleys, saying, okay, this is our first character we want to introduce. I would suspect they would want to do it like modest to low budget character to introduce what the new DC universe is going to be. This is going to be the story it's have to. This can dovetail into this character's story that's going to go on. And then the overarching goal is like, this is the climactic thing where all of them link together down the road. And this would be if these first 3 properties yield exactly what we need them to for the box office. And if they don't, if the first one fails, these two other movies, we will rework to get us back on track, or it'll be, a cutoff and start from scratch again. When you're outlining things of this nature, you can't just have one singular path. You have to have multiple backups, because again, if Zaslav says, well, I like this, but I don't like that, you have to have something to be able to swap that out with right away.
And would it be so comprehensive to include film and TV?
Ideally, yeah. If anything, it would be like this is our trajectory for the film, and this is our TV ideas that could support what we're doing for film. And these are the aspects that are open for video games. So whatever developer can achieve these parts, this is what they'll do. And then animation is like, okay, I would suspect for animation they do something like the DC showcases to start for the streaming services, where they just have like 10-15 minute cartoons.
Those were good.
Yeah, to either fill in blanks or create bridges to whatever story things that they liked in the previous regime that they want to execute now. This is all speculation, of course. But if I were to be given this task, and I am someone who has been given multiple tasks where I'm handed a script or handed a project and told, fix it, that's how I would do it. I'd be like, well, what do we have that works? What do we have that doesn't? Can I keep this? Can I play around with that? Like, for instance, if I was going to do a Superman movie, I would make it essentially a soft reboot with only Henry Cavill coming back. I would find out from Zaslav, okay, do you want to keep the suit with the Slytherin looking S on his chest, or do you want to go something traditional with Superman? And whatever his answer is, that's how we do it. And if he wants the new suit, I'm like, well, can I change it in the middle of the movie? Yes. Okay, I've got a scene for that, very dramatic, whatever. Consider it an allegory to, burning off the old stain of what was done to this character, and he's being galvanized in this new costume type of thing. like, you play around with those types of ideas, but you have to have all these options behind you, because if you only go in there with the one idea, you're doomed.
Well, and I think we'll see a bit of a change in the style as far as like the looks script. I think you're right there, because a new director, a new vision, they're going to want to do their own new take on it. The problem we have right now, script, and I don't know if you know who these individuals are, especially when coming from, the prop side of things and whatnot. I guess there's like 2 or 3 individuals who design a lot of these suits now for like all these superhero things.
Yeah.
That's why they all look the same.
Yeah, you got to get rid of them.
Yeah. That's what I heard is like, there's these guys that are like these 2 or 3 guys that all design all this same shit.
They design the onesies. That's what I call them. They're onesies.
Yeah, they've got to change the fabric, the stitching. There's so many things that need to be changed with those.
Well, I think
Well, Marvel's too tactical, and DC has too much of the onesie rubber suit.
The onesie,
they all
overly
look like they go to
detailed.
the same shop. They all look like they go to the same shop to get their outfits out, which is weird because you got a guy who's from Krypton, then you got a guy who's from Thanagar, Hawkman, then you got obviously Shazam, and he gets from that whole area. And
his and Dr. Fate's costumes look like they're made from the same tailor.
Yeah, they look like they go to the same shop.
Yeah,
and
then Black Adam and Superman suits look like they're made from the same material too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's that aspect. I think one of the things that James Gunn will probably pitch is they'll come up with a foundational aesthetic for the world, but it'll be malleable enough so that you can have a distinct Gotham, a distinct Central City, a distinct Metropolis, a distinct Star City. But I mean, it'd be brilliant if they found a way to find something that was common enough to link them all, so you can recognize that they're part of the same universe, but they still have that type of character to them that you're like, oh, this is more distinct, but it's very familiar. Like, that's the trick. Like, Batman has the great dark deco that the animated series brought in place. And it was kind of tricky for them to merge that with the City of the Future Metropolis in the animated series, but they kind of pulled it off. Justice League Unlimited did a really good job because they didn't actually stick to any one place. I think Metropolis was the one city you saw most often. But it still felt like, oh, this is a very familiar world. If they can capture that type of magic for a cinematic and TV and animation style system going forward, I think that'll be their trick to circumvent Marvel, because Marvel's every movie looks the same for Marvel right now, and that's the phase they're in. If they can find a part where it's like every movie is very distinct but feels the same, so they have to kind of spin it on their head a little.
Script. Did you get a new mic?
No, I've got a brand new computer, it's got new stuff going.
Because I was gonna say you sound a lot more.
Doesn't he sound beautiful?
I told him that the other day.
I love it.
His audio sounds better than it's been in years.
But now, Nick, since you just joined us late and you haven't had a chance to really chime in on all this business,
all good.
Have you caught up to speed with it all? Did you get to hear any of the earlier parts?
Dude, I've been following all this stuff like crazy. Obviously, I know what happened with Wonder Woman, and obviously what James Gunn said. And here's the thing: like James Gunn, he has to look at what's going on and say, okay, what works best for TV? What works best for movies? Also, what works best for animation? Like, I thought about it. I thought, what would work best for animation? The Green Lantern Corps. Because here's the thing. With TV, they're not going to put out the proper budget to make it work because of the amount of CGI and stuff. But with movies, it's not enough because of how vast the whole catalog of the Green Lantern Corps is. So why not just do animation? I feel like the animation, and then, you can get a few select core characters, have them be part of some of the, I guess you could say, some of the ensemble cast movies. So I hope Gunn sees what characters fit per format. I think that would definitely be something he should definitely take into consideration. And I personally hope that there is no Snyderverse. I know there's gonna be some people in the chat who are gonna not like that, but that's just where I'm at with that. As far as some of the recasting of some, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think Henry Cavill, once again, we've said before, with a great script, can do amazing things as Superman. I'm sure Gal Gadot, she'll do just fine as well. I do question if Ben Affleck still has it for Batman. He's on again, off again with his issues. He is capable when he's capable. I'll give him that, but I think, yeah, maintaining some of the best elements, or at least some of the ones that worked better or had potential work better, should definitely stick. But at the end of the day, it's Gunn's call, whether we like his call or not. And it seems like he's being very considerate of every move he makes. And it seems like he's very aware that not everyone's going to like every single move that he does. And that's fine. He doesn't have to have everyone like his move. I think he realizes there's an audience that we need to please first, a core demographic. We got to please them first, and we can get the rest second. I think that's the right track. And the fact that he's always posting with comic book stuff too. He's leading with comics. So he's promoting the source materials, what I like when he's posting weekly panels. I like seeing it because it tells me this guy is thinking about the source material. And it seems like he's thinking of it a lot more lately. I don't know if it was something that was starting to become less of a thing later on in Marvel, but it seems like with DC and DC Studios, it seems like the source material is something that they're going to say, hey, this is the point of reference. This gives us something to go off of. Let's capitalize on that. But of course, let's add our own little spin, but still be enough for the normies to be like, okay, hey, this is accessible for me. But for the ones who have been fans for a long time, they get rewarded for being so patient. Because DC fans, whether you're a Snyder guy or not Snyder guy, DC fans have been put through the ringer, through hell and back. And I think we can all at least be in uniting agreements that we want to have great DC property. Like, I want to live in that world where I'm arguing with Mike here about, what is, like, the Green Arrow going to do next, or what arc they're going to tackle next. Like, I want to be in that world. I want to discuss, like, hey, is Nightwing, like, just way cooler than Batman sometimes? Stuff like that. Just little things like that. I want to be in that world, and I feel like Gunn
I want to
has
be in a world where we get an on-screen Robin that's cool.
Dude, right? No, it's true. Thank you. I would love to have a Robin. That would be very cool on screen. And actually be a Robin. And we need to have Batman not begin again. We need to have a Batman that's fully developed, knows his detective skills, utilizes that, and we need him to be like in his full-on prime, full of ass-kicking action, doing all the cool, like, thinking ahead, 10 steps ahead. We want the world's greatest detective. You would think this would have been done with the amount of movies that they've had. You would think this would have been at least done once, but it really is not. And the same thing with Superman. We have not even hit the peak of the iceberg with his vast area of villains. We could do so much with those villains, and we have constantly just, fallen back on Lex Luthor and General Zod, which I love them. They both have their place in the Rogues Gallery Superman, but man, I want a movie where Mike's gonna get mad, but whatever, I don't care. I want to see the Flash versus the Rogues, an actual Barry Allen against the Rogues.
No,
yes, hey,
no, that comic book run was not that great.
There's so many.
there was greatness.
Runs.
I have
right?
a pitch for a
Bobby.
Batman movie.
Oh, all right, Batman, I'll shut up now so you can have the floor.
I have a pitch. Okay. It starts out. Batman comes into the scene. There's a bad guy doing bad things. He punches him. Batman does. And the bad guy goes down. Cut to the next scene. Batman's driving in his Batmobile real cool like. Pulls up to the street, picks up a bunch of chicks, goes back to the Batcave, bangs them all. End of scene. Cut to next day. Alfred's waking me up. I'm hungover from so much sex. I mean, Batman's hungover from so much sex. Whoever you get to play it. I mean, I'm really good at the part, but, And then he finds out that, people are scared of bad guys in the country. So he goes out and he fights some more bad guys, picks up some more chicks. And as long as at the end of every scene, Batman goes, and that is why I'm Batman. I think it'll be a great movie.
I've had like 4 of those already.
What?
You know what? I don't want to burst your bubble, Bat Tom, but that was like what you just described was my last weekend.
Awesome.
But wait a minute, does he share with any of those chicks with Alfred?
No, that's gross.
I'm just, why can't Alfred ever get any action?
He's like old. Old
So?
people don't care about booty.
Okay.
No, not in the blue pill era. They do
What's that?
nothing.
Oh, you'll find out in a few years, Bat Tom.
Wait a minute, though. Come on, guys. Like that scene in the Batcave where Batman's doing all the chicks. You've never seen that in a Batman movie before.
No.
Never.
Right.
Right. So there.
Not in the Batcave, that's for sure.
That's right. You know, if Batman's in you, it is technically a Batcave. He just drops that and leaves.
Wow. Wow. Comedic stylings of Tom Connors Jr.
I don't know who that was. That was Bat.
Thank you, Ironcaster. I didn't know that. It says
What did
he
he say?
gets action on his own TV show, the illustrious Pennyworth TV show that nobody wants.
Oh,
to
yeah, that's right, because he's young Alfred there or whatever.
He's just playing Batman without the costume.
Yeah, basically. Perverted Jester's here. How you doing? Says, do you think they'll ever bring back Polly Short as the Weasel? No.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
James Gunn's weird that way.
They might do son-in-law to grandson-in-law.
They could do Encino
something.
Man 2, where Pauly Shore's a teacher at the high school he used to get bullied at.
That could
He's
be.
already a weasel.
Actually, son-in-law is the only one that has some potential. It would basically be Crawl and what's-her-face's kid basically getting married and bringing home, the same kind of story, but yeah. It's just like, yeah, you could do something with that maybe. But with the woke world, I don't know. Yeah. Gabriel Knight says, has anyone seen the movie in a 270-degree Screen X theater or 40X theater with the moving seats and spray water scents? Worth it or gimmicks?
Gabriel, that I'm the expert in this one. I have seen multiple movies multiple times in 4DX. If I could see every movie that I wanted to see in 4DX, I would see it. In fact, I was going to go see, I looked up to see Avatar 2 for next weekend. Unfortunately, the closest 4DX theater to me is 2.5 hours. I'm not willing to make the drive, so I'm going to go see it on IMAX 3D instead. I love the 4DX experience. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Oh, that drive is almost as long as the movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, you're
That's my problem with going to movies is like, I got to basically make it like a huge thing. Yeah. There you go, Gabriel. And that's why I made Mikey big there because I knew he knew. John Hugh or Hogue, if I'm saying that right. Sorry. Says a good compromise, but still flawed. Give the Snyderverse Kingdom Come as an Elseworld send-off while developing the DCU going forward with a clean slate. Well, John,
It wouldn't fit because at least even Kingdom Come is about heroism in the Snyderverse, isn't it?
well,
Yeah,
that too.
you'd have
I was
to
just
do an
gonna
invert
say,
for that.
There's one thing that I've been consistent with from the start, and that is, even though people have been reluctant to discuss it, the Snyderverse was pretty much a done deal with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Tom.
That's it's funny you mentioned that up because I took a lot of heat for this from people, but I said I at the time before I was in recovery of Snyder, I made the point to a lot of people. I'm like, look, we got what we wanted. It's time to stop because we got what we wanted, we got what we fought for, we got it, we watched it, even got it in black and white for God's sake. Let's go, let's move on. Where do we go now? But no.
And I'll explain to you guys one more time what was explained to me. And a lot of this was supported later on by reports that came out. You had a situation where the Batman sent mixed signals because it didn't make the billion they were hoping, but it didn't flop. So that told people that they weren't as hung up on the Snyderverse, at least the general public wasn't, because they were willing to go see somebody else play Batman other than Ben Affleck, but not enough people were willing to go see Pattinson play Batman. So that presented a problem for Pattinson, but it also presented a problem that it showed them they weren't as hung up on the Snyderverse as Twitter and some other places would like you to think. On the other side of that, we were told that, and this was the part that was backed up later by other reports, that over 60% of the people that started watching the Snyder Cut quit somewhere before halfway through. So that means almost over half of the people that started watching it never finished it. The other thing,
I wish I was one of them.
see, there you go. There's
I watched it
the.
inspection.
I'm surprised at least two of us on this panel aren't on that, because that right there would actually be closer to the number. Or actually, no, 1.5 of us. But anyway, something like that. My math sucks. The other part is that as far as the video part of it goes, It only made roughly about $19 million between
That was
video
the
on
biggest
demand
shocking
and
number for me.
yeah.
That
That's
number
pretty
right
As
low.
much
there.
as people thought it sold on video, it didn't make diddly really.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that people did factor, Tom. When it came out, it was at a time where that market wasn't that competitive with movies. So maybe it was high up on the charts. Maybe it was. But
Exactly.
if you look at how many copies it actually sold compared to when movies were on their heyday, 2018 and 19, the numbers don't even come close. That's the difference. Like, yeah, it did well on the charts when you don't factor in the amount of a lack of new releases. So it's like, yeah, think about all the re-releases. That's not really competing against much. You have to have it compete against an Endgame or Infinity War or even a Mission Impossible to really see if it can come out on top. If you can do that, well then, you can have my attention. But competing against re-releases and a lack of new movies coming out, it's not really much to brag about.
You're absolutely right. And when you take a look, if I do the ballpark math, so if they sold like around 20 million copies, and we're talking about, say, a Western world market, that is what, 0.0001% market share?
Yeah.
At best?
At best.
No, they
That's
only
really
made
bad.
$19 million. I don't know how many copies they actually sold.
Well, no, yeah, but $19 million, average between $19 to $22 per unit. But I'm talking like North America and Europe as the market.
Actually, that
market
sounds
share.
more like they only sold about 1 million.
Yeah.
If you do the proper math to it, yeah.
Yeah. That's not a lot. That's actually
No.
tiny.
And that's what I was told. And not only that, Snyder himself had muddied the waters by hiring a what do you call it? Like an advertising firm.
Third-party firm. Yeah, third-party firm to help
get
promote.
involved with this shit. So him doing that really skewed their numbers. So that's why Warner was pissed at him. Is from what I was told.
One of the many reasons.
One of the many reasons, but one of the main reasons why that this whole thing blew up, and it wasn't, anybody's doing but his own. He did it to himself in a way, or people around him did it to him anyway. Let's say, I don't know for sure if it was Snyder himself, but yeah.
Well, look at also who he was casting. He had a bunch of. Don't get me wrong, Hollywood has always had terrible people working, but man, he really scraped for the bottom of the barrel because he had Affleck dealing with alcohol, he had Kryborg being a Kryborg again and again and again. Whether he was right or wrong, he didn't know when to let it go or just say, "Okay, I need to stop airing public drama." And then you got obviously Ezra Miller's situation. Like it's just people being just really bad people offset. Like they're some of the worst of the worst.
I will say there's some of them,
and also with Warner Brothers, with Amber
but not
Heard
all of
too.
them.
With Amber Heard too, like who's part of the, even though she's not part of the Justice League, but you have all these people playing heroes, and they're all under Zack Snyder's regime, and they're all just absolutely terrible. Like, man, these are
to be
heroes.
fair,
only
Ben
see-
Affleck was sober until he started wrapping production of Batman v
You are right.
Superman and getting into Justice
Yeah.
League. So
You are correct.
I really
That's
only
true.
see outside of Sans Gunn's characters that he's already worked with, because that's the thing you guys got to remember, and this is why I think everybody's freaking the fuck out and being stupid. If Gunn is gonna reset everything, that means his shit too. Duh.
Yes.
He ain't gonna do that.
sure he can.
He can, but he ain't gonna.
Why
Because they
not?
already got a season 2 of fucking Peacemaker coming.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
he
gonna
can
be
do
more
whatever
in
he
his
wants.
tone. I know script, but he hasn't said it's gonna be a complete reboot or whatever. They're reset and rebuilding on what's already there. I'll tell you, outside, and this is my point was, outside of the actors that are involved with his Suicide Squad stuff, the only ones that I will say right now that I think personally are safe are Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill. Outside of that, I'd say, and Jason Momoa. Outside of that, I'd say everybody else is up in the fucking air.
And
Ben
Ben
Affleck-
Affleck if he breaks up with J-Lo.
Only because of the fucking personal fucking drama right now. Because he seemed excited to be part of the Batman thing again, and then all of a sudden this shit happens. And then we start hearing these rumors again. Remember, like last time?
Oh yeah, but never underestimate the fact that what if David Zaslav or maybe even James Gunn himself have other ideas to bring back, say, the Thinker, who is played by Peter Capaldi, or Polka Dot Man. Like they were killed in that movie, and if he wants to play with them again, he can't.
got a
unless
point
he
there,
wants to
too.
reset and reboot, which means he has that power. Like again,
Yes.
The other part too is as a filmmaker, you kind of have to divorce yourself from your babies, so to speak. If he wants to reset everything, he can still use the same cast. and they can be playing the same characters, and they're just doing a brand new story. It
I
does.
see
It
that,
won't hurt
yes.
anything for him at all because he's still the one that's in control. It's his universe to oversee at this point.
Well,
He
his
can do
stuff
whatever
was the
heck he
most.
wants.
His stuff was the most disconnected tonally, and not only that, the only thing that connects it is a couple actors anyway. So you're right, Script, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm saying. Going forward, outside of his actors that he likes that are working with him already,
Yep.
those guys I'm sure are safe probably.
If he wants
Outside
to
of
bring
that,
back,
yeah.
if he wants to bring back, oh crap, what's his name? I'm blanking on. Who played Mal in Firefly as the detachable kid?
Nathan Fillion.
If he wants to bring back Nathan Fillion as the detachable kid, he can, because it's his universe now. He killed him in the Suicide Squad, but he's like, if he wants to bring him back again, he can, or bring him back as another character, like either Vigilante, or a lot of people still want him to play Hal Jordan, even though I think he's probably pushing a little bit too old.
He's already ruined Vigilante, though.
Wait,
Yeah.
who would play Hal Jordan?
Nathan Fillion.
Oh,
He's
Yeah, but
voiced
on
him
the
a
Zack
couple
Snyder,
times.
no wait. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Klobby.
No, go. I'm just saying. Nathan Fillion has voiced Green Lantern a couple times.
Oh
He
yeah,
did
he
have
did a
him,
good
yeah.
job with him too.
A Boy and His Dog is right here. This is the other side of it. Snyder himself has moved the fuck on. Now, I'm pissy with Snyder because he keeps putting these stupid things out there that give the fanboys hope. And he knows he
that
knows
doesn't
exactly what he's fucking doing.
He
That's
needs
why-
that so they watch
that
his
is why-
piece of crap movies that are coming out so that he can use that to get more jobs.
that is why I became disillusioned, because I realized he was manipulating the fan base.
He is very manipulative.
And I use that word very deliberately, manipulative.
Yes.
And then, did we get this one? Yeah, we got this one. Dark King is the one that's left. Frank Marshall presents Bat Tom and Congo.
Congo!
There's so much cocaine.
Not enough. Just ask the bear.
Oh, bother. I snorted it all. I blacked out and I killed Baby Rue.
Is Piglet okay?
I don't know. I think I ate his face. Well, I caught Rue trying to steal my Coke in his little pouch. Pooh can't have that shit.
Is Igor okay? Because he's high already. So
Oh, I don't know. Am I okay? I just do a lot of smack.
Coyote.
the only character we can't talk about is the one that's based off the tiger because his name sounds like a dirty word.
Oh,
Which one's that
Tigger?
one?
I know he's the only one who really is on coke.
Yeah, I know. Bounces off his own tail. That's gotta hurt.
I don't feel a thing. I'm feeling no pain. Hunters, they can shoot me all they want. Wonderful thing about tigers, they're so coked up they can't feel it. Thank you for that, guys. And with that, I say that's a good place to end this. What do you? Oh no, there was one more thing I had to present. I forgot. You guys made me lose my train of fucking thought. It's all your fault. Top Gun has won an award.
Oh, for them.
Wow, that's actually shocking. I
Named
didn't
Best
expect that to
Picture by the
happen.
National Board of Review. Other big winners
What?
include Steven Spielberg, Michelle Yeoh, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which is a movie that, if you remember, that our very own friend Chris recommends, if you remember that.
Chris recommends.
So yeah, they won. Top Gun was named Best Picture by the National Board of Review. Steven Spielberg won Best Director. So yeah, and now script. How much effect now? Remind me, does this have? Kind of like predicting some of the Oscar stuff.
Not much. At least
Very
not
little.
with the current regime of what's going on with the Academy of Motion Pictures right now. Like, there's not enough diversity in Top Gun Maverick to qualify for being an Oscar contender.
It's funny you mentioned that because there's a couple articles that were saying that Wakanda Forever was going to give Top Gun a run for its money at the Oscar race. Because as you know, they usually like to put in one movie that people like, and Oscars to give an excuse to watch. They did that with
one
Black
that
Panther
everybody
and
in
some
the
other
audience
shit, yeah.
they know has watched. That's they have to throw at least one movie in that they know the world has watched. So that when they watch it, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know that movie."
And there hasn't been very many movies, so I can see them nominating Top Gun and Wakanda Forever in Best Picture category just to get people to watch.
Yep.
And then the rest will be like Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then like 3 foreign movies you've never heard of. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so with that, that was just a bit of good news. I thought I'd bring up to the.
Yeah, no.
That's kind of
I'm
hoping
surprised
Patrick
you
would
brought
make
it
to
up. You
that.
don't even like Tom Cruise.
I don't hate him.
Me either.
I think he's just
I do
here
hate
to
him,
present
so-
the news as it is, and we all put our opinions on it. I mean, whether we like or don't like, so it makes
Fair
sense.
enough. It's a fair call.
But yeah, it's getting to be that season, Oscar season again. Not that anybody really cares, but I used to care. It used to be like my Super Bowl. It really sucks.
Dude, I used to like it too. It was fun. It was just like, oh, hey, look, sometimes you see cool suits. Sometimes you actually see some funny comedy like segments. Yeah, I used to be something I used to watch too. The first year I stopped watching it, it was kind of weird for me because I was still in that phase where like I wanted to watch it, but I'm just like I had to like convince myself that it was just not being entertaining anymore, and that sucked. It really did. I remember that, and now I've been at the apathy stage for the last 3 years now, so I've come to accept that it is what it is now. You know what? If it ever gets good again, hey, maybe I'll come back, maybe, but for now I don't see them changing. But
Yeah, when the biggest
something they
highlight-
have to give.
When the biggest highlight in the last decade of the Oscars is Chris Rock getting smacked by Will Smith.
Yeah,
Something's
they'll never
wrong.
top that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you think I should send to the Oscar review committee for their consideration my Wakanda Forever rant video?
Yes. As like an independent film. Part of their independent film category. Independent short films.
Independent short.
Written, directed, and performed by Mikey the Mexican Iron Man.
Yep. Playing the character of Angry Mexican.
Oh yeah, there was one other story that did kind of scooch past us
Oh.
because all this other
Ooh.
hullabaloo was going on.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel has a new director.
Oh yeah, the co-writer.
I
yeah,
tagged you to that a few days ago.
Yeah, this is and that's like I said, this got totally buried in all this.
I've got a
fucking
question
nonsense.
for
Yes,
you
yeah.
and Script about this right off the bat. What does it mean that what does this mean that we have a new director and the former
This is just a
director is now
passing of the
producer?
torch.
It's
That's
actually
all this
different.
is,
It's a
kind
swapping of the roles. So
There you go.
Jason
Thank
Reitman
you.
is going to go into the more producerial role,
Okay.
and his partner is going to be going to the directing role. So it's the same exact team. They're just switching roles for this film.
Okay, so we
Yeah,
should not be
sorry.
concerned or alerted or worried.
Oh no, not at all.
So this is good.
Now has this
Yeah.
guy done other work already? Script? I'm not too familiar with him.
Yeah,
other than,
he directed Monster House, and that did very, very well. The cartoon.
Oh, it says right here, Poltergeist and Scream. So, which Scream? The new one?
Probably.
Oh Lord,
No, he didn't write
that
it.
sucked.
At
I
least
thought
as
he
far
was
as I
one of the
know.
writers. But yeah, the cast is set to return. And then as this is what brought it up to my mind again. Somebody said it in the chat. There's some VR thing that just came out with Ernie Hudson. I got to dig out all my VR stuff. Here it is. Carlian Rogue says the new Ghostbusters VR trailer is out. Ernie Hudson is doing the voiceover. I don't know if it's actually in the game though. Yeah, because I got the game and I played it a little bit. I wasn't as impressed by it as I was hoping it to be. And none of us have been able to play it cross-platform thus far because I don't know if you've been able to figure it out yet, Script, but
I haven't
You've-
even purchased it yet because I'm just I'm still breaking in the kinks of the new computer system. So
yeah. And actually, the sad part is I don't blame you for not watching the Poltergeist sequel here too, but it wasn't that bad actually. It was just like, why? It was just kind of pointless. It's pretty much the same movie again. Yeah. Then John Hogg sent us in a super chat and says, clarify, not give Kingdom Come to Snyder. Oh, okay. But use current actors to give them a send-off. I don't want Snyder near any projects. Well, and that's the thing is,
I'm with you.
whoever is going to be around is going to be around for the next decade. That's what I had been telling people for a while that I had heard was that, and that came to fruition, is that he wants a plan for the next 10 years. So
Yep.
whoever is going to be Superman, they're going to be Superman for the next decade.
Yep.
Same thing's probably across the board
Hashtag-
for everybody else.
Hashtag
Yeah.
Tom Connors was right. And you have been consistent on this time. I remember since I've been on board with MEAD, and as far as the whole Snyderverse, you've been the one who has been, I guess, the contrarian saying, I don't know where everyone's hearing all this stuff. Like, I think they're gonna go forward, like with someone different, like, but no one wanted to believe you. So yeah.
Well, I even
do
said they were
believe-
wine and dining James Gunn, and I said I don't think he'll take the job. That's what I kept saying, but lo and behold, he took the fucking job.
Yeah,
he only
well,
took
well,
it because
you
he
had
got a
good reason
partner
to
that's on the
believe
business
that.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, you had good reason to believe that because we originally thought, oh wait, he's not gonna be able to handle all that work, but they made it easier for him with having Peter Safran involved. So now that made it believable, and obviously now it's a thing. Obviously,
Well, think of
Well,
it
and
this way: what is the James Gunn's role in this? It's all creative side of things, right?
That's his
That's
specialty.
all he's advertising. That's all he's talking about on Twitter and social media. Peter
love it.
Safran is the books guy. He's the business dude. They basically split a single creative head job into two areas so that they could get this thing working. Because again, true to form, just like with Jon Favreau, James Gunn is a creative. He doesn't like the business side of stuff. And no creative does. No director,
No.
writer, no actor
don't blame
likes
him.
that type of stuff. But producers, that's what they live for. They make the deals. They find the money. They budget it out. They work with all the accountants in studio. They do that stuff. This is the best situation that they could have at this point, because finding another Kevin Feige that has a little bit of a creative touch, but also knows the source material and knows how to produce movies is a rare thing. And because Warner Brothers and mostly of the studio system itself, they don't look outside of their own, field of vision, they're never going to find the person. There's probably a dozen people on the independent side or on the lower studio side that could do a Kevin Feige job for Warner Brothers, but they didn't get it because Warner Brothers doesn't look in that direction. But they found two other guys who are already popular people. They have a fan base and following, and they also have a reliable track record. So they're giving them the job for the next few years to see what's going to happen.
with that.
Sorry, I just saw this trailer here, but okay, so
No,
let's
no, you're good.
let's grab this action com. Says, what would happen if they do try to top the Will Smith slap? Where would that road lead? Oh God, will the TMZing of the Academy Awards be complete? I'd actually watch it for that shit.
I would laugh if they had a joke where on
They're good.
there's like an archway on each stair to the main stage, and a security guard there with like a metal detector. So everyone, when they go up to a ward, they get scanned and then they go through.
Yeah. And then there was asking about the returning cast members. So far, all we have is Carrie Coon, Paul Rudd, McKenna Grace. Those are confirmed, and I believe Ernie Hudson will most likely show
confirmed.
up.
Yeah.
He showed up. Yeah. So I can imagine most of them will show up. Maybe not Bill Murray. Maybe. It all depends. With his whole like getting canceled lately, he might do it just for the.
Well, he'll do it again if he gets
if he
to have
likes the
fun.
script too.
Yeah, if he likes the script, he has that fun. Dan Aykroyd's going to do it. He's just waiting for that call.
Oh yeah, Dan's already probably part of it. Okay, so this is a new game. This is like a Oculus Rift game here. Okay, so this is. We'll just play this trailer quick. Hopefully, it doesn't get us tagged.
Let's take a look.
San Francisco. The city by the bay is under siege by forces not of this world. We need new heroes. Fearless recruits with the guts to look evil in the eye. Who we gonna call? You.
Here we go. PKE meters out.
I got a few hits.
See, now this is actually more what I would want.
Yeah. I'm covered in mini puffs.
Behind you. Chop out.
Those little Stay Puffs are growing on me.
That was close.
Holy.
We're gonna need a bigger trap.
I own one.
All right, I can get behind this.
Ghostbusters. Rise of the Ghost Lord. Coming in 2023.
So now I got to get an Oculus Rift thing. Huh? How much are those things?
Holy shit! I have one of those right now. When is this book coming out? I'm ready to buy it now.
2023 next year.
I'm in. I'll review it.
How much is
I'll
one of
join
those
you and
things?
Mike. We can all play
My
this. It'll be great.
Oculus kit was $500.
Ooh,
Oy.
that's not so bad. It's actually a little cheaper than the PS one.
It is cheaper than the PS one because I have both.
Yeah, I got mine, but I don't have it hooked up. I can't find my cords for it right now. all this
If you
stuff.
think
for it.
about it, we're 1 year away from the Ghostbusters sequel too. Holy crap! Time
Yeah,
flew.
it's coming soon. So yeah,
Wow.
You get
So
the
there we had
basic
some-
model. You can get the basic model for $350.
there you go. That's cool. Maybe that's what I'll try to work on to get myself for Christmas. There we go. All right, kids, let's wrap this up. TNT's going on later. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it or not tonight.
Okay. How you
I don't know what the
feeling, Ray?
conversations.
You doing okay?
Oh yeah, I gotta eat some
Okay,
supper
good.
here, and depends on the topics and everything. Like I pretty much have said all I can say on this Warner Brothers stuff for right now too. So
Oh yeah. Nice.
I think
Like,
the message to everyone, Tom, would you say is Tom and script? Calm down, people. Just wait.
yeah, I don't think that James Gunn is gonna go so drastic. And I mean, again, script could be right about these things, and all these actors could get tossed out the window. But I don't see them courting and doing what they were doing with Cavill all this time for him to be just tossed to the side again. Gal Gadot, at least, like you said, I agree, has at least 1 or 2 more movies in her at least. Jason Momoa, with all this rumor going around, sounds like he's sticking around one way or the other. So whether it's Lobo or both, so
I
that's
think we'll
kind
get
of.
a new Aquaman after this film.
I don't even know if they'll do what they'll do with Aquaman. That's the thing, is I think that they know this Aquaman movie is going to be so fucking bad, no matter what they've done to fix it, that it might destroy the franchise in that respect. So we'll see.
Possibly.
Because I've heard nothing but bad things about it.
But that's not said he liked it.
He's gonna, of course, Mike.
He has to say that.
I was joking. That was a joke.
everybody.
That was a
I
joke.
know it was, but I'm just saying.
Well, here's the other part too. You're never going to hear him say something was terrible that's under his regime. He'll probably say something more politically savvy, like it was a good attempt and it did decent, but not to our expectations. So we're going to go in a different direction. Like that's the more type of thing that he would probably.
And the only
say.
thing, I can say to that is, and again, this is not something I could say that you could take for and run with, as proof. But the same source that told me a lot of the things that Zaslav did say almost verbatim in a lot of his, the earnings calls and interviews in the last few weeks, told me the same thing back then, and that was that Zaslav is a huge Superman fan. He really likes Henry Cavill. He wants Henry Cavill back, but he's willing to go with somebody else as long as he's got a Superman for the next 10 years, and it's more of a Superman in the line of the classic Superman. That's what he wanted. And that
And
was,
listen, Cavill can fill that role 100%, but it all comes down to scheduling. And if Cavill wants to abandon a bunch of other projects to play Superman for 10 years, I'm all for that. But if he wants to have some more diverse roles, that's going to come into play with negotiations for Superman films.
well, and the reason I bring that up, script, is just because don't underestimate, like, if James Gunn says certain things, Zaslav still has the final say.
That's correct. Remember, he's pitching the plan to Zaslav, and Zaslav is going to say, I like this and I don't like that. And James Gunn's going to have
And
his
that's
backup
where
ready. Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying don't take it as a set in stone thing, but that's where I say I'm very confident that Henry Cavill is probably safe. He's like, from what I've heard, that was one of Zaslav's goals from the start, because he knows how popular that the actor is, and he wants the character brought back to its prestige.
He wants to see Superman on the big screen because he hasn't in 15 years, is what
Basically,
he said, right? Or 13 years.
Exactly. And he meant that as a fan, right?
Yeah.
And he even flat out said it in the same way that I had heard this person had told me. And that's the thing, is like, I mean, I don't know necessarily, I wouldn't say I necessarily have anybody who's close to Gunn, but I have people that are close enough to certain places that have been very trustworthy. Now, my reporting has lined up with certain other people's scoops, but at the same time, I've heard some of these other scoops, and as you guys have pointed out, I said, where the fuck are they getting this shit from? It just sounds completely out of left field, and it's either somebody's wish fulfillment fucking reporting, someone's mixing in some bias, or they're getting some bad info, because there is nothing that's going on that's that, like, especially when they had the whole Andy Muschietti thing going on. I guess that was going on, but unbeknownst to them, where they're like, by the way, your shit's probably not going forward. Guess what, kids? They're probably just finishing up the deal because they already got paid, like I said, to script.
Yeah. I mean, even the talks about Pam and DeLuca, like entertaining the idea of giving the Snyderverse one more go. It's like, yeah, they're going to explore every option they can. Doesn't mean that
I don't know. Did that was that in the THR article, or was that
was
something
in
from
one of
Mikey
the
Sutton?
That was in one of the THR articles. Yeah.
Okay, so that actually does confirm something Mikey Sutton said. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there are certain reporters out there that have some stuff that lines up with me and what I've heard, but others that don't. So
Tom 911 looking backstage.
I know we have a very important guest just coming in here at the very end of our show, Mr.
Hey.
WWD. He's here on the show.
Well,
That's all, folks.
Yeah, I'm coming in here at the very tail end, so I apologize I'm being late, but I hope it's been a great show.
No worries,
how's
man.
it going, guys?
I saw you were doing now, do you have a YouTube channel you're on, or how do you do those streams? You just stream it to Twitter, or what is that?
So right now I am doing exclusively. Well, I'm doing exclusive on Twitter at the moment.
Oh, okay, because I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so I'm sort of hedging some bets on Elon Musk coming through in a lot of ways, and so I want to ride that wave when it happens. But the other thing is that I will be launching a YouTube channel January 1st, and so then some of that content that goes on Twitter will also be there as well. And so I'll be putting the link out on my Twitter account either tomorrow or the next day, so either Friday or Saturday.
And I'm going to call you WD-40 Pro from now on because it's easier
Well,
to
you know,
say.
the entertainment industry is quite squeaky, so I'm here to clean it up. How's that?
I like that. So real quick, you did a video earlier about this business. What's your take on all of it?
I'm assuming you're referring to
the Warner Brothers stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing that I found interesting about it was the dynamic. And if you listen to the video, you probably caught some of that, how if you think about with Marvel, and this was even true during the Iger era, Feige had such creative control over all of his movies, all of his productions, choosing directors, choosing scripts, etc. And when Chapek came in for Disney, he had to set up some different filtering systems. So he had to put in what was called the battery, and that was Alan Bergman and Kareem Daniel. And they essentially functioned as sensors, so that when the crazy stuff, the ideological stuff came through, they were there to keep the heat off Chapek, even though Chapek didn't want that stuff in. Now, ultimately, that didn't succeed, clearly. That's just what we've seen. But the difference in what's going on at Warner Brothers Discovery is remarkable, because you've got James Gunn and is it Peter Safran, I believe is his name? Yep. Working in tandem with David Zaslav. And so that means that you've got the very top guy guiding this process. That's completely different than the way that Disney handles it. Zaslav has far more institutional control over Warner Brothers Discovery than either of the Disney executives had control over their studios. Now, I'm sure Iger could have pushed the deal a little bit, but at the time there was no need because Marvel was rolling at such a level. I mean, why would you want to? When Chapek came in, though, Phase 4 and 5 had been set in place. Phase 4 was underway. And I guess we've seen, there's not a lot to be excited about in Phase 4. So will this new dynamic work at Warner Brothers? We're going to find out. But it is something to see the road mapping of an entire, franchise is interconnected, coming straight from the very top man, the CEO, working in tandem. That's different.
Well, we got this here, breaking news from Humberto Gonzalez over at The Wrap. Warner Brothers didn't cancel Wonder Woman 3. Patty Jenkins walked off the project. This is what I said probably happened. This is the first thing I said that probably happened. In an exchange with studio chief Mike DeLuca and the Wonder Woman 84 filmmaker sent him a dictionary definition of the character arc.
That's ironic, considering the fact that she doesn't even know the definition.
Okay, this is good. Wow. Hollywood was stunned by the news this week that Warner Discovery would not move forward with Wonder Woman 3, but in fact, it was Patty Jenkins, who directed the first two films in the superhero series, who walked off the project after rejecting studio notes and her treatment, multiple individuals told The Wrap. And here's the thing, they should reword this. Nobody ever said that they weren't moving forward with Wonder Woman 3.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. They just said that they rejected her treatment.
Exactly. Patty Jenkins' exit comes as James Gunn and Safran have been getting settled into their new roles as the co-CEOs of DC Films and are busy plotting out an extensive multi-year plan for DC Films, TV shows, and games that they will present to Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav next week. but the two had nothing to do with what happened to Wonder Woman 3, the rap says. Although Gunn and Safran have been given mandate to reshape the DC landscape, Warner Brothers Discovery has an ongoing enterprises that nobody was going to mess with, according to one insider, including Matt Reeves writing the sequel to Batman. J.J. Abrams, that's not See, this is where I think this insider is full of shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I think they're getting their lines crossed with some of the stuff
Yes.
they're getting in here. Yeah.
There's also a tell. So
wait,
if you
I'm
look at
confused.
this-
So what's really happening? You lost
Okay,
me
so
with
first of all, go ahead WDW Pro, and then we'll try and re-explain.
So there's a
everything
tell
for
in
everybody.
here, and it's a sleight of hand that if you just listen to what we were talking about a second ago, you'll catch the sleight of hand, and that is, it says that James Gunn and Peter Safran had nothing to do with this. Well, who cares? We now know that it's a trifecta. It's James Gunn, Peter Safran, and David Zaslav working on this new direction. So who cares if two of the three had nothing to do with it? If the other guy who's working in tandem and knows where they're going with this has said, you know what, you can either change this to fit the new vision or you can leave. And she said, I'm walking. Who cares? That's a misdirect. Who cares if two out of the three had nothing to do with it?
already know it was DeLuca who made this choice. Abdi
Sure.
and DeLuca. But
but
you're
yeah,
right.
go ahead.
You're right. Yeah. No, last week Jenkins turned in her treatment for Wonder Woman 3 to the studio, according to insiders. Warner Brothers Film Group co-chairpersons, CEOs Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, as I just said, didn't think the treatment worked and decided not to move forward with the film in its current iteration. Gunn and Safran, who had nothing to do with again.
You're saying it's completely irrelevant. Yeah.
Here you go, WD. Who had nothing to do with the decision, also agreed with DeLuca and Abdi, which means, yeah, they agreed with it. Just they're trying to distance themselves from this choice. That's what it
And
is.
let's get real. Like DeLuca and Abdi are not conferencing with the top guy who's directing this entire thing with the other two gentlemen. No way. I mean, give me a break. All this is interconnected. So
No, and I love
it's
having
cute
your
spin.
observation on this. That's great. According to one insider, Jenkins refused I jumped ahead here. I'm sorry. DeLuca and Abdi spoke to Jenkins first and communicated that they didn't get the treatment, didn't think it was right direction for the franchise, and asked Jenkins if she would consider pitching something else for an IP in another direction. Now, this lines up with another thing what we reported on, that she was supposed to turn in another treatment yet. But the fact that she walked away raised a big red flag.
So she basically Karened out like, well, if you guys are going to like what I want, then
It's
much.
the my way or the highway approach that a lot of egocentric directors have.
oh my God, what a Karen.
According to one insider, Jenkins refused and let DeLuca and Abdi know they were wrong. Here you go, script. That they didn't understand her, didn't understand the character, didn't understand character arcs, and didn't understand that what Jenkins was trying to do. And to underscore her point, this is what I was telling you about. According to the first insider, Jenkins sent an email to DeLuca that ended with the link to the Wikipedia definition of character arc.
Sounds like a great person to collaborate with. She would be just
Yeah,
lovely.
this makes her sound like a major fucking Karen.
But you know what I think's happening here on her side? She was canned by Lucasfilm, so she's already bitter. And I'm thinking she's just trying to get out the door before the same thing happens to her from another studio, because she has no leverage from this other than if she's trying to get out before she gets canned officially. And then she's got two studios in a row that have canned her on major productions.
That's a very good point, because if she's canned from two major studios on two productions, she's going to have a heck of a difficult time getting another movie made from somewhere else.
You're right. This whole thing could be a fucking plant.
Yeah, so
just to make her look like she left. Yeah.
She gets to jump early and play the sassy girl card rather than being the girl who's been broken up with twice in a
Good
row
for
now.
you, girl. You stood up for yourself.
You don't need, Patty, you don't need no man. You go, girl. You be a boss, babe.
That's right.
You're better than that Zaslav guy. I'm telling you, you can
Yeah.
find so much better out there.
Well, that's the thing. They're trying to paint him like the next fucking Trump.
Probably
as it
storming
is.
out of that office saying, I'm going to Sony.
Girl, if they're not going to give you your Wonder Woman 3 bag, then you're going to go get Gucci over at Sony or somewhere else.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that whole thing earlier about they keep mentioning that, Safran and Gunn had nothing to do with this. You pointed out the trifecta, the little, they have the little, Spock, Bones, Kirk
McCoy.
thing going on there. Yeah,
Yeah, Spock. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, you know what I was saying.
I know what you're saying.
So in this case, the process of elimination, the only other person that they didn't say a fucking word about that made this decision is Zaslav.
Exactly. And it's always fun with these journalists
yet, so
because if
what was
you
that?
speak
Sorry.
journalist, you figure this out. That's what's fun about it. You know, you just have to learn their language, and then you can parse what really they're saying.
So I agree because I think that she this is
she don't need no man.
Jenkins was told that if she wanted to come back with a pitch in a different direction for Wonder Woman, the studio would hear it. She stood firm to her vision and responded that if they didn't want to do her treatment, she wasn't going to do a different one and would instead just move on to her next film.
That's supposed to be Cleopatra, right?
Yes. I think she's already filming that, isn't she?
I haven't heard any movement on it. So
I haven't either. I thought somebody said it was filming already.
Isn't she doing some film called Pool
this
Man?
Just keeps
Is that
going.
the next thing she's doing?
I don't know. Somebody wants to look it up quick. Jenkins especially didn't want to hear that newly installed DC chiefs. Oh, she was very resistant to this, evidently. Gunn and Safran had what they had to say, even though they had nothing to do with the decision not to move forward with her version of Wonder Woman 3. She just doesn't want to allow them to have a seat at the table to have an opinion on something new that she might come up with, an insider added. This sounds like a lot of women in Hollywood right now. I've heard this story. This reminds me of the Lassiter story.
Hugging was about to commence. That's all we can figure out.
No, they just didn't want him telling them that they were wrong.
That's exactly right. But, you know, you've got to be squeaky clean when the thing they come up with you, or they come up to take you down is, man, the guy's a hugger. Got to get rid of that Bob Saget fella. That Danny Tanner, he's got to go.
They even had to add the whole I smell booze on his breath shit to that too.
That's right. He's a drunken hugger.
Fucking kidding me? Then they gave him a handler at the end just to make it fucking look even worse.
I know when I get slammed, I start hugging.
Right. The studio hasn't killed the Wonder Woman franchise altogether, and Gal Gadot is still attached to the role at this point. What the fuck did this say?
That'll be the pressure next. The pressure will be on her to stand in solidarity with Patty Jenkins.
I honestly think this all went down way before we found out about it, like I said. And her post, and this is where Script and I were discussing this earlier, like if it was just the Rock putting that post out there, be totally with you. This is all up, just him trying to volleyball for a long shot of keeping this franchise going. This, on the other hand, tells me she was part of this conversation.
Guys, Cleopatra's not in. They're not shooting. It's still in.
Not shooting yet. Okay, so she says a few years ago, it was announced that I was going to play Wonder Woman. I've been so grateful for the opportunity to play such an incredible, iconic character, and more than anything, now keep in mind what Pro's just been saying about how to look for the journalistic side of this. I'm grateful for you, the fans. What's one thing that we know that going forward that Zaslav did not want? Any antagonization of the fans. So I think that's important to point out.
Well,
can't
also
wait to share the next chapter, her next chapter with you. So that to me sounds like she is on board still. To me,
look at the way that James Gunn has been interacting with the fans. It's like a new James Gunn. I mean, if you look back, 7 years ago, he was quite spicy, condescending.
He was an edgelord, yeah.
Yeah, he was like on the how James Mangold has been for the last 2 years. Really pissy panties.
I don't know if I'd go to that point because he was just a little edgier and he was when it came to some of the politics,
Yeah, it's more
he's
of
like
sarcasm.
Uncle Walt now.
Yeah.
Well,
no, and that's what I was saying is there was
on being a director.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is that was one thing that they didn't want anymore. They didn't want any of this bullshit with the fans, because that's what got them to the place with the Snyder fans.
Well, now have you covered the Miss Marvel and how she is apparently going to be? Sorry, guys, spoilers here. Apparently, according to Bounding into Comics, in the next movie, Miss Marvel is going to be married to a prince on a planet where they all sing. So I guess it's like
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, we've been hearing about this whole musical thing. Yeah. There was this rumor going around that it's a musical. Yeah.
So I'm thinking if I'm James Gunn, I'm looking at an opening like you wouldn't believe. I mean, the opportunity to relaunch the DCU or DCEU, however you want to call this thing, the opportunity to relaunch at this time. I mean, what is going on at Marvel? Have they completely lost their ever-living mind?
Well, clearly, and you know, and that's
Yeah.
good because the more that they lose their minds, you're gonna eventually get normies who are gonna become very disenfranchised, and they're gonna say, you know what, I need an alternative. This is the perfect opportunity for Gunn, Safran, and Zaslav to capitalize and make boom. Here's your replacement. Here's your heroes with heroism, not them pushing narratives, not them being preachy, having these weird identity politics complexes that they got. We are here to entertain you with characters. Some characters you might like, some you might not like, but at the very least, at the end of the day, we are trying to give you something to latch on to and hopefully give you a story to invest in with this 10-year plan.
How painful is it going to be for Marvel if next year the head of the DCU also has the by far best and most financially successful Marvel movie in theaters?
Oh yeah, because Gunn has Guardians coming out. That's true. He's got, and that's his swan song for Hollywood.
That's
I'm
right.
not sure if you saw the article he put out a few days ago. I'd have to look up what article I read on, but he was taking shots at Marvel for the utilization of some of the Guardians characters. So he's slowly taking small shots at them for what's going on.
And going off of what Pro was just saying about his different demeanor, which I noticed as well, and I think that's a big part of Zaslav's, like, going forward. We're not going to argue with the fans. We're going to do our best. And his tweet that he put out, I thought was really well worded. Let me see if I can grab it here real quick so you guys can.
Oh yeah, it was a good thread.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really long thread. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the main first tweet here because I thought that was, addressed it the best. Let me bring this up here. Make sure my message thing ain't up. I hate that stupid shit. So he says, so as far as the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it's true, some of it's half true, some of it's not true, and some of it we haven't even decided yet, or it's not true, or whether it's true or not. Sorry. He says, although the first months at DC have been fruitful, building the next 10 years of the story takes time, and we're still just beginning. Peter and I choose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fractious environment, both in stories being told and in the audience itself, and there would be an unavoidable transition period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, television, and gaming. But in the end, the drawbacks of the transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and opportunities to rebuild upon what was worked in DC and so far, and to help rectify what has not. And that was what was that headline there. So, we know we're not going to make every single person happy, and this is the part that I like the best. Every step of the way. But we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story and the service of the DC characters we know you cherish, and we have cherished our whole lives. So yeah, he goes on a little bit more, but again,
tweet.
So is it the last tweet?
That's
okay.
The last one. Yeah.
As far as I'll just finish reading it then. As far as more answers about the future of DCU, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah. We are giving these characters and stories the time and attention they deserve, and we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. So, and that's also him saying that he doesn't even 100% know, because they got to present this shit to Zaslav yet. It's still got to get greenlit there in a way.
Approval. Yep.
An approval or whatever you want to call it. So like, this is still a ways away yet. And this is why I don't think we're really going to start hearing much until January. And that's what I've been saying. December, they make their decision. They present it to Zaslav. Christmas time, there's a break. VR brought up a great point earlier. The first month of the year, there's the quarterly meeting or whatever. That's where probably Zaslav will want to be able to brag about these upcoming projects. So we'll probably see some announcements or leaks just before that. And then his announcement will either make them confirmed or they'll already have them confirmed. So yeah. But there you go, kids. I thought that was a very well done tweet today from Mr. Gunn. Camelot Killer says, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Clobby.
I don't know. I was agreeing with you. Yeah, it was nice use of Alex Ross art there from Secret Origins.
He's been using a lot of Alex Ross art.
Yeah. and that's a great book you used it from. It's from Secret
Which
Origins.
leads me to believe that the costumes are going to change too.
Oh, I
wish
hope
they
he
would
gives
look-
us Alex
I wish
Ross.
they would- I wish they would look like that. If you would adapt Justice by Alex Ross as a film and make it look
You
like
were
that,
raving about that one, Kloppy.
that's a great book. And if he adapted that, I'd be all over it. It'll never happen. Too good.
My only stipulation is give though the masked characters the white eyes. I don't want to see their human eyes.
Oh, dude,
Oh, yeah.
right?
You wanna
would
know
think
something?
By now, in 2022, we would have had that like
Yeah.
10 years ago. We still have not gone to that point. How?
As a Superman fan, here's one thing with the design of the costume and shit. I do not like any other symbol other than the circa 1960s
78.
through whatever the
Well,
main symbol.
That symbol was around for about 40 years.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was like because they brought in like what the 50s? Yeah, 50s actually, not 60s. 50s,
50s
40s,
to,
late
like,
40s or
up to
50s up till recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even really like Henry Cavill's one. It's
It didn't
the
change much. It changed like it tweaked here and there, but yes,
It
was-
tweaked
Yeah,
a bit.
but I
Henry Cavill
fucking-
it's
Yeah.
not a S in his chest. It's a snake.
yeah, I
It
don't
looks
like
a
that.
snake, like a
But I
snidery
fucking
snake.
Love the Kingdom Come one.
Yeah.
Like that's
I
the
love-
only
I
other
do.
one that I've ever seen that I'm like, oh, I like that
it's more
design.
of a, it's because of the black background on the Kingdom Come when it's like a
And the way
throwback
the
to
S
old,
looks, it's just
Fleischer.
it looks so
Oh,
much more
love the S on
sleeker,
that
and
suit.
it just
Yeah, I had that T-shirt. I had a T-shirt of that. That's a throwback to the old Fleischer design. I do like the Kingdom Come one, but of course I prefer the traditional one.
Oh, of course. The
same
traditional's
here,
the
same
best
here.
one,
But I'm like,
Kingdom
okay, if we're
Come's
gonna do an
not
alternate, like,
bad.
yeah, that's
Well,
the one
Kingdom
that's gonna
Come
be.
would be nice, but I'd rather see an animated version. They would ruin them in live action.
See, and that pisses me
Oh,
off because they were
yeah.
supposed to do Kingdom Come animated years ago, and somebody else told me I wasn't crazy because I'm like, I swear I saw like a little
They talked about it.
Yeah, a little pencil test thing, and they had the first scene in the church animated already and stuff like that. And I'm like, I was so thrilled because that's like one of my favorite
Yeah,
fucking graphic novels. It's really
it
good.
would be
so-
great. It would be great if they would ruin it now because they ruined the Judas contract and everything else if they readapt. So
Well, hopefully, Gunn, if that's what he has in mind, he'll do it justice. So, pun intended.
Yeah.
Camelbot Killer says, "Pro, I don't want to see any superhero musical. That's not a superhero movie, and I would think whatever studio lost their minds. Your views."
Well, I'll agree on almost all fronts, but I will say that were this 5 years ago, there would be an argument to be made that you could do a Batman the musical if Kevin Conroy was playing Batman, and if we could convince Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs to play Clayface, and then I'm all in.
Yeah,
There's
maybe
already-
during the
Other than that-
Glee, the era of Glee, maybe. Yeah.
there's already been a perfect Batman musical. It was on Batman Brave and the Bold with the Music Meister.
Oh, that's right, they did
Yeah,
that.
that was actually a great one.
Actually, I'm kind of not against the idea of Joker 2 being somewhat of a musical because I know what kind of the pitch is already. So I think they're going to
But
do that okay.
But do I want to see Brie Larson in a musical? Well, do I want to see
That-
Brie Larson
no.
in almost anything? No.
Well, she's a singer, right? Just kidding.
She kind of was a singer. She had a very short career.
I don't think
Britney
anybody wants
Spears
to see it.
esque star.
More
arc she
Avril
tried
Lavigne,
there.
actually.
Yeah. Oh, was it more Avril?
Yeah.
Was she skater boying?
Well, she was singing like Avril, but dressing like Britney Spears.
Gotcha. Okay, so she was trying to be an edgelord, but she couldn't quite make it.
I think
Yeah,
she did a music video where she's like playing a guitar in a bikini. Like that's
If you want to give me one more goddamn reason that I already don't have to see the Marvels, making it a musical is more than enough. So, but as far as like that goes, like in the sense of the Joker, though, the way it's supposed to be is like, you know, it's like Harley's descension into madness kind of thing through the musical elements, and being that they got Lady Gaga, I think that has potential. But that's all I'll say. I don't know if it's going to be good. I just think it might have potential. Camelbot also says, I saw the article that Moa will be the anti-hero. Well, there's a lot of buzz going around, and I heard from a completely separate source than I normally hear this stuff from, and I said this, what was it, Monday on the show, Mike, or one of you guys that was
No, Sunday night, I thought.
might have been Sunday night about Lobo. And I mean, of course I did posit that could be the case, like a lot of other people did when Momoa posted that one video. But actually somebody came to me and said, yeah, that he's going to play him. But this person didn't say that he was going to quit playing Aquaman. He just said that, yeah, he's going to be playing Lobo in a project. So I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. There could be. He could play both. He could quit playing Aquaman and he could just be Lobo.
He never played Aquaman for me anyway. It was never Aquaman. I like that
I
movie.
didn't really
okay, he's
like the
not
character
Aquaman.
either. Badass.
Dude,
It's
bro,
like, I hate
Aquaman.
that shit.
Dude,
Oh,
bro,
yeah.
crap. Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna do Aquaman, just do Aquaman. Honestly, Aquaman is one of the worst fucking superheroes.
Actually, I love Aquaman unreservedly, but I don't think he should.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, Claudia.
most people
I've
don't
just
like-
never
most
had
people
any
don't
love for
Aquaman
him.
greater than Flash.
Well,
That
yeah.
could be true.
I don't know about that.
I
But
don't
no, look,
Aquaman's not a
believe me-
dude, bro. That's the
Yeah,
that's the
exactly. But you're exactly, Tom. You're not wrong, and you're not alone either. You're probably in the majority on that one. A lot of people don't care for Aquaman, but I do.
I think he's good for a joke, and that's about it.
And you and Seth MacFarlane.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Camelbot
If you're doing
Killer.
that in the water, you'd be sorry.
Yeah. Camelbot Killer says, I can't wait to see Disney crash burn CFO equals CEO. Oh, yeah. We were talking a little bit about this. Well, that's going to be an interesting thing. Now, WDW Pro, did you get to see our show yesterday morning?
No, I did not get to catch it. What was the summation on the CFO thing?
Well, we
What
had
did you
talked
guys
about a
come up
lot
with?
of things, but at the end there, I there we go. I'm going to say pause on purpose, so y'all can drink. I posited that what if this whole CEO CFO thing is she's never going to be a CEO? She's just going to be a bridge between whoever buys it, be it Apple, whoever, the entertainment side of the Disney, and the parks and
Well, so that was
properties.
it was put out there that she is in the running, but they really didn't give any credence to it other than the
Right.
fact that she had done something that no CFO at that level has ever done before, and that's true. I mean, she is a stone cold killer. I actually ran through some of the things about her in the past that have led me to say how vicious she is. I mean, this is the same woman who, when Disney was caught filming next to concentration camps in China, that she said in response to it that it was generating a lot of buzz at the box office. This is the same woman who, when she was looking for ways to reduce expenditures at the Disney parks, she said they would cut the food portion sizes because that would help with guests' waistlines. I mean, she will say things that just remind you this woman is ice cold. And so when it turned out that she was the one who went to the institutional investors, and then she was the one who did the vote of no confidence to the board, and then she was the one who said that she would resign if they didn't fire Bob Chapek, like none of that surprised me that this was the individual who was doing it. And so that said, I don't know that she would be the one in line to be the CEO. And the reason that I say that is because at the latest White House gala, where they had the French president Emmanuel Macron, and they brought in all the who's who of the left-wing intelligentsia and the entertainment moguls, Disney sent a representative to that. And the person that Disney sent was Dana Walden. She is the senior vice president over all of Disney entertainment content. And Iger really likes content people. Now, does Iger get a chance to make that selection? I don't know. But if he does, Dana Walden is certainly up there. At the same time, if you were looking for the best argument that Christine McCarthy, who literally looks and acts like Ursula out of The Little Mermaid, if you're going to argue that she would be the next CEO, the best argument there is, well, she's got to get a payback from somebody somehow for taking down Bob Chapek. And clearly, they quickly wanted him out for some reason, and she was the catalyst. She took a major risk. It was not given that she would succeed. Had she went to the board and failed, she's out of a job and falls on her face. So, they may be looking for a way to reward her if she did the dirty work they needed. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, with that, we've got
that's all I have to
we've
say
got all
about
the
that.
super chats, and we're gonna wrap things up here because other shows are about to begin, and Klobby has to leave us as well as Nick Weiser either way. But we appreciate you coming in, Pro. If you're not busy in the morning, I'll send you the link, and you're always welcome on the show. But yeah,
It's
we
always
appreciate you
about
coming in here.
scheduling. I really appreciate the
I hear you.
invites, and anytime that I get an opening in my schedule, I'm happy to join in and be a part of it. I'll go ahead and segue my own self out right now and just say to everybody in the audience, if you'd like to follow me, it's at WWPro1 on Twitter, and we'll be relaunching the website, thatparkplace.com soon, we are currently rewriting all the code to stop those crazy DDoSers. And I'm told by the web admin and owner that we actually have a working test site up now that seems to be thwarting them. So we'll see how long until the relaunch.
And then you're gonna blow up in January with your live shows.
There you go.
Could be. We'll see.
Nice.
The goal is to not compete with shows like this. I have no desire to go out and be this sort of third wheel that people are going to see Pro, or they're going to see Midnight's Edge, or they're going to see Doomcock, or they're going to see Valiant Renegade. I have no desire to do that. I really just want to be complimentary to all the people and all the shows that are out there already doing such great work. Midnight's Edge is fantastic, and so I'm happy to get to be on here when I can and get to share thoughts with you guys.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Clobby, what do you got coming up?
Well, about half hour, I got Clobby's Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark, of course. And then tomorrow night I'll be hanging out with Nick and the gang at the comic shop. That'll be at 8:30. Right, Nick? I guess we got it going on, right? And then Saturday night, got Saturday Night Star Trek, 4 more episodes of Deep Space Nine and review and stuff. And then the Great Mark D with the Seas channel on Sunday Night Geekery Sunday night. So,
awesome.
And
so
many
awesome.
other things. Thank
All
you, buddy.
right.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Script, anything coming up you want to plug?
Nothing that comes to mind. Just follow me on Twitter, see where I'll end up. If I don't have any meetings tomorrow morning, I'll probably pop into the morning show and join you guys. Outside of that, no, thanks for having me this evening. It's been fun.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you as always. Nick Weiser, I know you're going to be on TNT. What else is coming up?
Well, like Clobby said, we got the Comic Shop show tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Central, and Toxic Tuesday. We'll be talking Diamonds Are Forever. That will be our final edition of the Connery Bond before we do a Christmas movie or two. So that'll be fun, and I'm going to hopefully finally get back on making videos. I've been wanting to do it, but I've been so crazy busy. So yeah, if not, I'll have those guaranteed streams for all of you fine people. Guys, thank you for supporting Midnight's Edge After Dark. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up for Tom. He's at 415 thumbs up. He should be at 500 by a landslide. So give Tom a thumbs up. And good to see Script and Mike, Lobby, and also a pleasure to meet WDW Pro. Thank you, sir.
The honor is mine. Hey, Tom, can I say one last thing after Iron Man gets a chance?
Sure.
I don't have nothing to say. Go ahead, brother.
Well, Mike will say Mike will probably say he's not a YouTuber and turn it over to you anyway.
My name is Scott Mendelson, and I have mental diabetes.
Oh no, Scott Mendelson's here.
Sorry, guys, I had to bring Scott Mendelson with me. He has mental diabetes, so if you could all help him out, please go on to. Oh, Scott, you're not on Forbes anymore. No.
And he blocked me on Twitter.
Scott Mendelson is on the rap, and he's blocking everybody. Come on, Scott. I can't help it, Cartman. I have mental diabetes. Scott, I'm so sorry.
Oh, poor Scott. Thank you so much, Pro. That's great.
It's always my pleasure on that one. Everybody loves Scotty.
Scotty doesn't know. All right. Take care of yourselves and each other. Mike, anything to say before we go?
No, I'm doing Loki's Morning to Mischief at 8 a.m. Central tomorrow morning.
All right.
Cool.
Take care of yourselves and each other, and see you next time.